and we need to get through it.
Gina Argento,
Here.
Baden Bakowski, Lisa Bamonte, Gina Barrows,
Here.
Eric Rosaides, Iris Cabrera, Phil Caponegro, Frank Cabone,
Here.
Steve Chesler,
Here.
Michael Trinchella, Teresa Sincata, Stephanie Cuevas, Ron Daly,
Here.
Giovanni Diamato, Aaron Drinkwater, Arthur Divinowski, Lloyd Fang, Julia Amanda Foster,
Here.
Dallas Fuller,
Yeah.
Crystal Garcia, Joe Goldstein,
Here. Can you hear me?
yes,
Thank
Joe
you.
Groves,
Here.
David Helmick,
Here.
Sabrina Help, Katie Denny Horwitz, Sonia Iglesias here, Moses Ending, Robert Jeffrey,
Here.
Rosina Kaminsky, Corey Canton, Paul Kilterborn,
Here.
William Clasbo,
Here.
Yolando, Marie Lieza,
Here.
Yolo, Trina McKeever, Adam Myers, Sante Michelli,
I'm here.
Toby Moskowitz, Rabbi David Niederman, Karen Nieves, Mario Domerick,
Here.
thank you, Janice Peterson, Bella Sable, Isaac Sofer, Del T,
Here.
William Vega, Maria Viera, Simon Weiser.
Hello. Yes.
Mike Churchill, I'm here.
He's Adam Myers.
Thank you, guys. Hold on.
You hear me, Simon?
So it's who just spoke? Adam
Churchill,
Myers.
I'm here. Michael Churchill, I'm here.
You
Okay,
heard me,
Adam
Simon?
Myers. Simon.
You heard me?
Yes, sir. I checked.
Sorry. Thank you.
Give me Sonia, says I'm here. Mike Churchill.
Yes, Mike, I got you. We have 22, and it's 6:03.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is a presentation from New York Civic Engagement Commission. Sandy Balaban.
Sanda, yes. Are we ready?
Yes.
Great. This is Benjamin, of course, Solitaire. Nice to see everybody here. It's always great to be back to CV1. It's really happy that you wanted this presentation tonight. You know, we held a series of youth engagement workshops last fall, which were well attended and received. And we're happy to make this direct presentation to you folks. I'll pass it off to Sanda in 1 second. I just want to say, of course, we have lots of things happening at the CEC coming up with the primaries. We'll be reaching out to people about voter outreach, and of course our participatory budgeting citywide program for the first time ever. So we'll leave that for another time for more details, but I will hand it off to the YVote folks to talk about youth engagement for the board.
I have a presentation to share. Can I share my screen?
Can someone help Sonia share her screen for this presentation?
It is passing on right now.
We're also having two of our presenters are having trouble getting in as presenters. So anything that can be done to help us troubleshoot that would be great. We're glad to have Sonia here, but would love to have her peers. Is there any assistance that could be provided in getting our other youth on?
Do you have access to the screen yet, Sonia? Share your screen.
Still can't.
I haven't seen them. Oh,
I made you the presenter.
And what about getting our other two young people in?
Can you start your presentation and we'll get them in?
Okay, but they are the presenters. Sonia is
Oh
not
my
the
God.
only presenter, so we do need to get the other two in.
What are their names?
Bukalan Kumar and Jolina Jimenez.
sorry. Johanna.
Bukalan,
They're not.
They're not.
Yeah, no, they're not in the attendings list.
Joanna, can you please check on Mr. I think Eric is
they're
waiting.
right now in as attendees, but can they be made presenters?
Bella. Are they calling in from the phone?
No, they're all on computers.
Okay.
And we were sent many different WebExes, so
There was one WebEx that was sent, and it was the panelists, but we needed emails from the presenters to be able to get them in the system. I do not see them here in the attendees list.
I sent the names to Johanna. Is there anything we can do now to enable our other two young people to get in?
Joanna, for your knowledge, I believe we receive from WebEx, actually, very confusing this time, multiple email, probably 5s. And I tried myself to connect to one of the link and I was having problem. Then I try another link they sent. It didn't come from the office, so you know.
Yeah, it comes automatically from the system.
Sandra, can you send the email that you came in on?
Again, we probably got 10 different ones and they didn't all have the same.
I said the one that you came in on.
I honestly don't know at this point.
It's the one that was sent at 4:58 by BKO1.
If that can help, I don't know which one. You'll see it in one of these email.
Yes, we
at
have
the bottom.
forwarded that. They are all using. They're all using that.
You have to input the password as a panelist. Some of these email tell you the password. So
yes, we have included that as well. And also Sonia does not have the ability to share the screen for her presentation. If there's a way to enable her to be able to screen share, especially since she may be the only presenter who is able to get on. They worked very hard on a presentation for you and we'd love, the ability for them to be able to share it.
It is saying that it's sharing with her.
It's telling me to open system preferences when I click share, but it won't open system.
So can we share the URL maybe with Johanna to be able to screen share?
Yes, absolutely. I'll get that right now.
And our young people are saying that they're using the WebEx link sent at 4:58, but it keeps adding them as attendees. Is it possible that we're at the maximum number of participants for presenters? Sonia, do you think you can, once we sort of send that, start? Again, I don't know how to troubleshoot. Our other young people, they're trying desperately to get in, but they're only here as attendees. So if you're seeing us, hi, Jelena, hi, Bukalan, hi, other Y voters. Is there a way?
I would suggest that you send their emails. It was asked before, an email sent.
I did send that. I did send that. Okay. Can I send you the presentation and email that to you and then you could screen share it?
Go ahead.
Okay. And Sonia, while we do that, is it possible for you to do it without actually sharing the screen? We're going to try to do everything that we can to get that to Johanna to share.
Sure, I can get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Sonia. I'm a junior at Brooklyn Technical High School, and I'm here as part of the New York City Youth Agenda, as part of the Community Boards group. Earlier this year, we did 5 workshops talking about youth inclusion in community boards, and this is a follow-up to those workshops. Maybe some of you are able to join us, but if not, there's a lot of great information we have to share today as well. So we wanted to get started off with an icebreaker. I'm not as familiar with WebEx, so I don't know if there's a chat here or how to use that, but the question we wanted to ask you was, what percentage of community board members would you guess are under the age of 25? Feel free to just think on that, because I don't know how the chat works here.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the age.
Under 25.
What you said 45.
I would guess William Baker 0.
3%.
Okay, pretty much in the middle. It is a little bit less than 1% of community board members are under the age of 25, although community board members can be as young as 16 in New York City. So we're at the New York City Youth Agenda really hoping to increase the amount of young people on community boards in order to diversify perspectives. And today we just wanted to tell you a little bit about why we think that's something that's important to do. So first and foremost, we wanted to ask, why do young people make up such a small percentage of community board members? So I'll give you guys a second to brainstorm, and if anyone has any ideas about why that might be, feel free to share them out loud or if there's a chat.
Chair, this is Simon. We have a packed agenda today, and they only have 15 minutes for this presentation. Can you please advise the presenters, please?
Well, they're doing their presentation, so.
Yeah, but it's the way to go now. It's going to take so long. Let them know it's 15 minutes.
We all hear you, and this is the presentation that our young people are presenting, and would appreciate the opportunity for them to walk you through.
I mean, one thought at answering that is because people usually get on the community board through some relationship with their council member or the borough president, and young people have just had less time to make themselves known that way.
Also, the fact that many of us are community leaders in environmental or, a lot of community-related issues, whereas inequity, social inequities. So we have a track record and some expertise.
Thank you both for sharing. Whoever is screen sharing, if you could go back 3 slides, that's the slide that we're on right now. Okay. While you work on that, I would like to share that some of the reasons that the young people we've spoken to have noticed that they found trouble joining community boards were meeting times. If meetings were during the school day, it was difficult to join. Application processes, oftentimes the information around how to join a community board can be hard to access for young people. And in addition to that, there's a lot of jargon and acronyms and knowledge, as someone mentioned, that young people might not have access to yet, that people who are not under the age of 25 or under the age of 18 might have access to, that would make it more easy to join a community board. So our next slide, if the slideshow can be shared, so it's back 2 slides. In the slideshow, just to the left.
So you're on the right URL with this slideshow, but if you could go just
There
back
you
to
go,
the
there
slide.
you go.
Perfect. Perfect.
No,
No, go
more
forward now.
forward.
Yeah, nope, go forward
The
now.
one that
Back
has the
to-
heading, why should your community board engage? One more slide. There you go. Perfect. So, a question we wanted to ask, I think it can be a rhetorical question for the sake of time, but when you were young, or if you're young, is there a political opinion that you hold that differs from other people based on generations? So I know that a lot of different sociopolitical issues, the environment surrounding them has changed over time. And so the perspectives vary from generation to generation. And that's really what we wanted to get at with this presentation. Young people today have different political and social perspectives from other people. And it's important to incorporate those perspectives in these conversations, such as our perspectives around education because we're students, or youth services, or mental health. Our voices vary and are important to include and can help diversify the scope of your community board's work. You can move on to the next slide, please. So how can your community board be more accessible to young people? So we have a little checklist. First and foremost, meetings aren't held during school hours. You're doing great on this right now. And they're not held too late at night. This time is a great example of when a meeting could be held. That application processes are accessible to young people, and that young people have the opportunity to ask questions and gain experience because, as you mentioned, there's a lack of knowledge that some people may have when it comes to what community boards discuss. And it is helpful for young people to have an opportunity to access that information. Use of jargon and acronyms can be decreased just so that young people can even understand what is being discussed during your meetings. So does anyone else have any other ways that your community board could be more accessible that you would want to suggest or mention?
We dispense with the questions to the board at this time since we're running behind time.
Sure. So I guess you can move on to the next slide. So we have a post survey. We want to build a lasting relationship with your community board and continue working with you to get youth involved. So we would love to speak with you in the future, and that form is a great way for you to connect with us for the future. I'm not sure if that could be shared in the chat or through email to everyone at this meeting for the future, but that would be really helpful. And I'm happy if there are any questions that I could answer about the presentation or about this survey as well.
Thank you, Sonia. Does anybody have any questions? Katie?
Yes, thank you. It's not a question. It's more of a just thank you so much for coming on. And I do think that the issues that you're talking about are definitely important for communities to have representation and engagement across various generations. And so I will fill out your survey and as soon as it's shared with us. And I just wanted to say thank you for bringing this to our attention and engaging us. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? I don't see any hands up or any other
I'm
questions.
sorry, I couldn't raise my hand. It's Sonia. Sonia, I wanted to ask you, what is your perspective? How do you see the community board in your eyes, and what functions and what we do as a youth?
I think that community boards are a great opportunity for people to share their opinions. And I think that it would be great to diversify those perspectives by including young people more.
And two of our other presenters who were just added as presenters would like to introduce themselves before we sign off, and they can answer that question as well. Jolina Mukulan.
I'll hop on. Hi, my name is Jolina Jimenez. Sorry if you hear any music in the background. I am in a public space right now. But I am a senior at Frank Sinatra School of the Arts. I'm a drama major. And yeah, I'm also with YVote in the community boards group. And we work on the youth agenda, which I know we didn't get to do like a great overview on, but it's just a group where we work on youth engagement in regards to New York City politics and where we push policy recommendations to our local officials on different levels. And we're really excited to be here. Sorry we weren't able to work on the rest of the presentation with Sonia, but I personally think she did a great job. And I'll pass it on to Mukul.
Yeah, seconding that, Sonia definitely did a great job. My name is Mukhilan Muthukumar. I'm a junior at Hunter College High School. And to answer the question that was posed before, I think community boards are a great opportunity and a great idea, but they have to be improved to be made more accessible to youth. And it's a great civic opportunity for youth to get youth involved in our city, because I think we can all agree, or we all should agree, that youth are the future of the city and youth perspectives are important. So we hope you all will fill out our post survey and you all can continue working with us, and we hope to develop relationships with this community board and also other community boards to actually see these improvements.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
Madam
Any
Chair,
other
I have a
questions?
very fast. Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have a very fast question. Do you live in our district? Any of you lives in our district?
No, they do not, but we do have young people all around the city who might be in your district.
Any other questions?
Thanks for having us tonight.
Very good way. Thank you again for the presentation. Just an invitation. Generally, the meeting are open, especially the committee meeting, an opportunity to engage a little bit more closely, as they actually you don't need to be a panelist. And I believe probably my invitation would be to start probably coming to some meeting and start following the agenda. And that's how I believe all the board members, including myself, we passed through that path. It was kind of very difficult to understand environment world, but I believe that's the first step, attending the meeting. That sounds very boring. Not all the topics are interesting, but thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sonia and Sonia. It really was a great presentation, and I'm really sorry that we were not able to delve in it the way you had planned. But we have such a packed agenda tonight, and I just wish all the young people success, and I hope they keep the attitude that they have, that they want to volunteer and get involved in their community. Thank you so much for attending, and hopefully we'll do this again, and we'll talk about more about what you want to present. So, okay.
Thanks so much for having us. Y voters, we'll see you back in the Zoom.
Thank you. Have a good
Take
evening.
care, everybody. Bye.
Next item on the agenda is S8 Sutton Street, LLA, 100 Sutton Street.
Hello,
Phil
everyone.
Dorn.
If you can hear me, my
Yes,
name
we
is Phil
can.
Dorn. I should have Daniela and Lily here as well. I see Daniela's little Zoom square, and I see Lily as well. Okay, great. So it's nice to be back in front of Brooklyn Community Board 1, as always. Like I mentioned, my name is Phil Dorn. I'm an attorney with the firm Pazetsky and Bookman. With me are Lily and Daniela, who I just introduced, the owner and operator of SH Sutton. We're here tonight because we were asked to present by Arthur Dimanowski, the chair of the SLA Review Committee, whom you all know, given that the capacity of our venue is over 200. It's a catering event space with a capacity of 340 to be exact, located on the second floor of a building in between Nassau and Norman Avenues on Sutton Street. If you're unfamiliar with the business, which has been open and operating for a few years now, there are basically two aspects to it. There's one half, which is studio space for people and businesses to rent out, whether it be for commercial shoots or fashion shows, etc. And then the other half is a food and beverage space for events such as weddings or corporate gatherings. It's basically a standard catering space but just with some really cool studios for interesting projects on the side. For the few years that they've been operating, when they have hosted events with alcohol, they have applied for and received what are known as one-day event permits through the State Liquor Authority. And it should be noted that they've had no issues with those one-day permits, no noise complaints, no 311 calls, it's anything like that. However, just given the uncertainty of having to constantly apply for those permits, you have to do it for each individual one, and you have to do it just a couple weeks out from an event. The nature of those permits is very limiting. So they're now seeking a permanent catering license, which is what brought us before the SLA committee last month and now before you tonight. So we just wanted to introduce ourselves, let you all know that this application will be in front of the SLA committee meeting again next week, and we're happy to field any questions if there are any.
Are there any questions? And I must remind board members that due to the agenda being so lengthy tonight, we will not entertain short stories disguised as questions. Please frame your questions as questions and not as short stories. Are there any questions? Going once, going twice, see no name, no hands. Are there any questions? Okay, I hear none. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely evening.
Likewise.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next item is Franklin Street special permit renewal, non-Europe.
Hi, everyone.
Fred, Frank, Harry, and Silver, and Jacob.
Hi, everyone. This is Ellen Lehman. Can you hear me? Okay. My colleague, Aaron, would it be possible to have him share his screen? Great. Again, I'm Ellen Lehman with Fried Frank, Land Use Counsel to the applicant, 12 Franklin Property Company, LLC. I'm joined by my colleagues, Aaron and Melanie Myers. This is an application for an administrative renewal of 2 special permits originally granted in 2019. The special permits allow for a commercial and industrial development at 12 Franklin Street under the zoning applicable in an industrial business incentive area, or IBIA. The special permits were initially granted in 2019 for a 4-year term. This renewal application would grant an additional 3-year term, which would allow the project to be built in accordance with the special permit if substantially completed within that 3-year window. We are not proposing any modifications to the 2019 special permits in this application. I'm going to run through the details of the site and the specifics of the special permits, which is exactly what the community board saw and approved before. I'll then describe the required findings for the grant of the special permit renewal. So 12 Franklin Street is a pentagonal site shown here, bounded by Franklin Street, Meserole Avenue, Gem Street, and North 15th Street, directly across the street from Bushwick Inlet Park. It's in an M12 zoning district, and it's in the Greenpoint Williamsburg Industrial Business Zone, or the IBZ. As you know, the surrounding area consists of low-scale buildings with a mix of light industrial, automotive, and manufacturing uses, and some office, retail, and restaurant uses. The residential neighborhood of Greenpoint is located several blocks away to the north, which you can see in yellow on this map. So in 2019, the site was designated as an Industrial Business Incentive Area, or IBIA, and was granted 2 special permits available within an IBIA, for which we are now asking for a renewal. The IBIA is designed to facilitate the development of mixed industrial and office developments to preserve the existing manufacturing sector in the area and enhance the mixed-use nature of this vibrant neighborhood. The first of the 2 special permits from 2019 was the modification to FAR. So under the underlying zoning, the maximum FAR on the project site for commercial or manufacturing use is 2.0, and the maximum FAR for community facility use is 4.8. The special permit allowed the applicant to make use of the 4.8 FAR permitted on the site today, but instead of community facility uses, the 2.8 FAR Delta must be designated specifically for a mixture of light industrial use and office use. The special permit would allow for a 7-story, 134,000 square foot commercial and industrial building. You can see a breakdown of the uses in the section of the building here. So the teal color is the space designated for required industrial uses only, and those uses would occupy a large majority of the second floor. Yellow is restricted to what's called incentive uses, which include both required industrial uses or office use, but do not include retail, restaurant, or entertainment uses. Permitted uses in pink can be used for the full range of uses permitted in an M12 district as of right, so light industrial, office, or retail, or restaurants. One condition to the special permit is that the project must comply with a contextual building envelope with a maximum base height of 75 feet and a maximum building height of 110 feet. This generates a kind of boxy shape traditionally used by warehouse and manufacturing buildings. The second special permit allowed a reduction in parking and loading. The 2019 special permit allowed a reduction of required accessory parking spaces to 36 parking spaces, the reduction in the number of loading berths from 3 to 2, and a reduction in the depth of loading berths from 50 feet to 40 feet. The City Planning Commission found that this reduction would not contribute to serious traffic congestion or inhibit vehicular or pedestrian movement. Okay, now I'm going to I'm going to talk about the way that renewal works. So most special permits have a 4-year term. Under Section 1142, if construction has not been substantially completed in that 4-year term, it lapses unless a renewal is requested under Section 1143. So under that section, the City Planning Commission may grant up to 2 additional 3-year terms, provided that the Commission finds that the facts upon which the special permit were granted have not substantially changed. That is, the Commission will look at the required findings for the original special permits and determine whether the facts upon which they have relied have not substantially changed. In this case, the facts are not changed as the project is the same and the zoning is unchanged. I'm just going to close with some renderings of the building from the original special permit. This is an image from Franklin Street. You can see the design of the building was both inspired by and intended to evoke the manufacturing character of the area. And here's one last image with a view from Bushwick Inlet Park. You can see there's planned retail on the ground floor, which would provide activation along the pathway toward the park. And again, just an image of the kind of industrial aesthetic to the design. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah. Are there any questions? I don't see any hands.
Yes, I do, Madam Chair. Steve Chesler. Thank you. Yeah, notice that right after the special permit was approved 4 years ago, that the building was put on the market for sale, and which is kind of frustrating that we went through the whole process of, we recommended the permit. So does the owner have plans to actually build, a new development here?
Yeah, so the owner has been exploring different development options since the special permit was approved. It was not sold, and they continue to explore different development options. But they're pursuing that. The special permit would just allow them to continue to pursue those options for another 3-year term.
Yes, I just want to make sure that you're, that you'll be coming to our committee meeting on May 1st.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Are there any other
Yes, Madam
questions?
Chair, briefly, Santa Micheli, do you have already some projectual idea about, as you asking us to reconfirm the special permit, do you have some projects, some concepts already?
I'm not sure I understand.
I'm saying, that is this the concept you envision to still develop?
Yes, I think the owner would like to see this development pursuant to the special permit built. And that's why we're seeking the renewal.
I see. Okay. Could you send this presentation to the office so that could be available to board members?
Yes, we sent it earlier today, but I can certainly
Perfect.
follow up
Thank you.
next.
Thank you. That's all. Just a question.
Are there any other questions? Are there any other questions? Thank you so much, Ellen. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 150 Collier Street.
Hi, good evening. My name is Dominic Casal. Can you hear me?
Yes, Dominic.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us. I'm one of the principal architects at IMC Architecture. We are filing a rehabilitation project for a 4-story, 8-unit residential building on Collier Street, 150 Collier Street. Let me share my screen if I can. Second. Okay, great. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Fantastic. So the subject property is, again, it's a 4-story, 8-unit, 150 Collier Street on the corner of Lorimer Street. And the building had placed on it an emergency declaration by the Department of Buildings for being structurally unstable. So some shoring work has taken place in the building to stabilize the structure, and more permanent stabilization work was filed with the Department of Buildings and is set to commence. However, as part of that rehabilitation, we are going to be doing some work to the front facade of the building, and we have filed with Landmarks, and Landmarks asked us to present to the community board on our proposed design. So I'm just going to go to the next slide here. The image to the right is the current photo of 150 Collier. As you can see, it's a pretty dilapidated front facade. It's composed currently of a green asphalt grain shingle that has multiple layers of other elements which we probed and we can get to. And then to the left is a historic photo, which isn't the best quality, but I'll do my best, of what the building looked like in the 40s. Some prominent features you can see at the top cornice, which is no longer there, and an entry portico at the entryway, which is also no longer there. The per discussions with the LPC, we also believe that the facade as shown here, which again is very hard to see, it's not the best photo. This is all we had in the archives for LPC, is also an asphalt faux brick, and our understanding is that that's also not the original facade element. So I'm going to go to the next slide, which is some probes we did here. I'll start at the bottom. So you can see that green shingle that was added, I guess, more recently. And then underneath that is this faux, again, asphalt shingle, brown, that's like a faux brick. And we believe that's what's shown in the historic photo as well. And then I'm going to just scoot up to the front. Below that or I guess underneath that is this what we believe to be a wood siding, and what we understand is is more likely the original facade material for the building. So again, as you can see, we'll go through additional photos here, but the building's is in pretty bad shape, and as part of the stabilization work, we're going to be recladding the building on all exposures. So there's just some site context. This is 156 Collier on the corner. So this is photo 1 here. And then we have photo 2, which are the 2 adjacent properties to the left of our subject property, which are shown here. And photo 3, which is the property immediately to the right of 150 Collier. So you can see a lot of the historic elements for the adjacent properties have been removed as well. And then the next slide is just showing some precedent images of these are not our building, but they're the same architect who originally designed 150 Collier. So based on the limited historical evidence shown in the 150 Collier historic photo, because we believe it was, it's not the original. We looked at some precedent images of what, similar, same architect, similar style, size buildings was completed in the same era. So this kind of helped us clue in on what the building might have looked like. And then I'm just going to go to some drawings here of what we're proposing for rehabilitation. So we're going to restore the top cornice. We think that's an important feature that we really would like to bring back, as well as the entry portico. And again, with the limited photo historic evidence we have, we're doing our best to kind of stay to the style of building at that time. And for the facade, we're proposing to reskin out of a fiber cement panel with a 4-inch exposure. We're going to do the same at the rear and the sides as well, with a hardy fiber cement siding, as well as refurbish and repair any damaged fire escapes at the rear. The next slide is a side elevation, the other side elevation, and we have a kind of photoreal image of what the re-skinning of the building might look like. And then we have just some call outs and section details. Here is a section kind of through the front facade, showing the cornice, showing the proposed front entry portico, showing some of the decorative molding details below the window as well. And then here's kind of a blown up section of what that window detail might look like. And then the next 2 pages are just more detailed information on the cornice. So this would be the high cornice at the top, and this slide is what that entry portico might look like. So that's the end of the presentation. I'll leave up this slide or the front elevation. If anyone has any questions, comments, be happy to entertain.
Okay, Steve Chesler.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation. Yeah, so what material are you proposing for the new cladding?
For the new front cladding, well, on all exposures, is going to be a fiber cement lap siding.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Are there any other questions? Hey, Charlie?
No, just a curiosity, because the designation report is actually report the existence of the stoop being original and the ironwork being original. Is that since the designation, those elements that have been removed, or the stoop and the ironwork is still original elements?
Yeah, it's a good question. I again, it's hard to kind of tell from the historic photo, but my by looking at what's there currently, it does look like it was replaced. I believe the stoop to be original, but
it's a bluestone, or it's a bluestone.
It's a bluestone, I believe. Yes.
I see. What I'm trying to understand on the siding, because definitely all the shingle and probably all the asbestos containing material there. Are those, what is the oldest historic fabric you have found? Is that a clapboard? It's a wood clapboard, or it's actually there are wood shingle under these layers?
So based on the probing, it does seem to be a wood cladding, with like a lap siding.
So it's are those siding or they are shingles?
No, they're siding. They're horizontal siding.
Oh,
Yeah.
siding. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, so you're planning to use this RD plank, right? The fiber cement.
Correct.
And they would be painted on the gray color. Did you explore out a more historical color? You know, as you're not going to use any wood material. And other comment, and then because we don't have much time, did you explore the possibility, because it looks a little bit flattened, you know, there were far more wood elements that of course are not fully readable, but
Frame
your
your
research
question,
rather.
Michelle. Frame your question.
Yeah. Sure. Did you explore a little bit more to get into some other interesting detail to eliminate probably the possibility of flatten the building that much at the front?
So yeah, that's one of the comments. So it's a good comment. It's one of the things we're working on with Landmarks, and yeah. So we've added these. If you could see the screen, we've added these kind of more decorative moldings below the window to kind of give it some depth, as well as some top moldings here. We can definitely project these more to kind of give it a little more depth. But yeah, it's a valid comment.
Yeah, especially
Rosina?
because, especially in light of the fact.
Your time is up, Michelle.
Okay.
Rosina?
Madam Chair, I understand that they're coming to our landmark committee meeting on the 1st. Is that correct?
I'm unaware, but we're happy to if you'll have us, sure.
Yes, you must come to the landmarks committee meeting on the 1st if you want to get a vote on your application.
Okay, sure.
Okay, I just want to make sure that he knows. Okay, thank you.
I appreciate that. Can someone circulate just that information, or if we have to register for it or anything?
You'll get an invitation.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You'll get an invitation with the time and everything on it.
Thank you very much.
Please do more work so we have more detail when you come to the committee meeting.
You're out of order. Are there any other questions? Are there any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're welcome. Next item is 68 South First Street. Diana LaBelle.
Hi. Hi, Chair. Rich Lobel of Sheldon Lobel PC here for the applicant. Good evening. Are we able to promote my two other attendees? One of them is Esther Judelson and the other one is George Fontan.
They're in.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And may I share my video?
Yes, just press the share button on your screen.
Outstanding. Thank you. Good evening. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Once again, Richard Lobel, conscious of the time that the community board has this evening, I'm going to go briefly through the proposed application, and then George Fontan, the project architect, is going to go through the plans, and we're happy to answer any questions. Again, we're here for 68 South First Street. This is a variance application at the Board of Standards and Appeals. This is an application filed pursuant to section 7221 of the zoning resolution to permit the construction of a new single-family residence at 68 South First Street. There is only one waiver that is sought pursuant to this application. It's for floor area, and it's to build a 4-story plus cellar single-family home on an existing 840 square foot lot. We are not seeking waivers of height, of setback, of yards, or any other section. Indeed, the building envelope which can be built pursuant to this variance is the same envelope as would be built as of right. The only thing we're asking for is to allow for additional square footage within that envelope to provide the family living there with some more breathing room. This is the site location, again, 68 South First Street between Wythe and Berry Streets. This is the zoning map. The property is located within an R6. You see the site before you on the tax map. This is a very small lot. Again, roughly 840 square feet or 40 by 20. Why is that important? It is important because as you look at other lots in the area, this is one of the smallest lots. This is one of the shallowest lots. And those aspects of the lot contribute to why this site deserves a variance. Specifically, when you look at the surrounding 600 feet, roughly within that large circle on the screen in front of you, there are roughly 137 lots. And this lot is the 5th smallest in terms of lot area and the 6th smallest in terms of shallowness. And the other buildings on those other lots are generally built, and so this is really a small and narrow lot or shallow lot. Those other lots, the handful of lots that are smaller and shallower are generally built with residential buildings, which are also non-compliant in terms of floor area. Around the site, again, primarily 3- and 4-story residential buildings. This building would be at an as-of-right height. You can see this is within the character of what's in the area. And with that, I'll just go through the existing conditions on the site, which include a vacant lot. Importantly, this lot has been vacant for decades. And also importantly, it's been an independent tax lot since 1961. Why is that important? This is not a situation where somebody subdivided a lot, created some small 840 square foot lot, and then comes to the community board and asks for a variance. In fact, that would violate one of the findings of 7221, the self-created hardship finding. This lot has been a small independent lot since prior to 1961 for over 60 years, which enables us to come in and say, these are the conditions we find on this lot. We request this variance relief. With that, I would introduce George Fontaine, the project architect, who can run through some of the aspects of the proposed building. And again, just to reiterate what's proposed here, we've got a proposal for a 4-story plus cellar single-family residence. This building would be roughly 3,100 square feet, while an 1,800 square feet building is permitted as of right. But again, to reiterate, this envelope, the envelope here between the proposed and the as of right, same envelope. So we really are just hoping to fill in more square footage. With that, I will turn to George.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah, all right, great. So, yeah, the house will be a single-family residence, 4 stories. It is as of right, with the exception of the floor area. So like Richard said, the height and the height requirements, the setback requirements are all in compliance as of right. Richard, do you want to go to the next slide? As I said, 4 stories. We have 2 options here. One is the proposed house, which is the greatest square footage. And then if we just go through, I guess you can go to the next slide, Richard. These are the floor plans. We're going to have parking on the ground floor. There's going to be a cellar. Just keep flipping through. The kitchen and living room area. This will have an outdoor terrace above the kitchen. And then 2 floors of bedrooms, the kids' bedroom and a home office on the 3rd floor, and then a master bedroom on the 4th floor, and then the roof. This is the proposed variance option. The next option is, and these are the 3D views. The next option is the same shape and size building. So once again, nothing changes on the shape and size of the building. The height of the building is exactly the same. It's only the interiors that change, and the interior square footage can be maximized. So if we didn't develop the building as with the same FAR, we could still build the same height and just build higher ceilings in the alternate option. And this is the as of right option that would be the same height and from the street and the same front elevation.
So just to summarize why we're here, this is an application at the Board of Standards and Appeals for a variance under 7221. There are 3 threshold findings to be made. The first is unique conditions. This is again out of 137 lots within 600 feet. Only 4 lots are smaller than the premises. One of those lots is vacant, but is commonly owned with an adjacent lot, so it could be coupled with that lot and a larger building could be produced. Of those 3 other lots, all 3 of them are inhabited by residential buildings which exceed permitted floor areas. So you can see, as far as a matter of precedent, that those lots basically could not make a go of it with an as of right square footage. They all built larger. And again, it's a shallow lot. And of those other 5 lots, one of those, again, is that lot that can be coupled with an adjacent lot. And 3 of the other 4 lots are built with residential buildings with non-compliant floor area. The B finding regarding the variance is a reasonable return that you need to make a financial hardship return. This is not applicable to a single family residence, so that's not required. And then character of the neighborhood. In essence, the single family home here is a permitted use, residential use within the R6 district. And of course, the envelope being as of right would not be out of character with the area.
And that's
so.
Oh, Richard, just one
Yeah.
thing, and we're going with the quality housing program for R6, which is contextual zoning.
Exactly. So really with that, we are, that is the application. And George and I, as well as Esther, the applicant, are happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions? Steve Chess?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation. The owner consider having multiple units in the building versus single family? Assuming the additional FAR?
Yeah, so it's an as of right 1,800 square foot build. With the additional square footage, it would be roughly 3,100 square feet. We felt that it was appropriate, or the owner felt it was appropriate for a single family home. In essence, you'd be asking for a waiver in order to add families to the building. So they really were just looking at it for them and their family.
Yeah, just an FYI. So any lot under 1,700 square feet, you cannot do more than 2 families.
That's just as an aside.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I don't see any hands. Are there any other questions? DLT?
Yes, I just want to make sure you're planning to come to our May 1st committee meeting.
We are. Thank you, Del. We're looking forward.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. LaBelle and Associate. Thank you so much for the presentation. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
The next item on the agenda is 118 North 11th Street. Sarah Shear.
Hi there, I'm here. Would it be possible to promote Ward Dennis as a panelist as well? And I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So my name is Sarah Shear. I'm from Higgins Quasar and Partners. I'm joined with Ward Dennis, who is a principal at HQ as well. And we are the historic preservation consultants for the owner of the former Hecla Ironworks building located at 118 North 11th Street between Berry and Wythe. Hecla Ironworks building was constructed between 1896 and 1897 and was designated a New York City landmark in 2004. We originally presented this project at the April 3rd Landmarks Committee meeting and were asked to present again for this evening. And I've put together an abridged presentation just to go over the scope of work again. So the proposal before you is for modifications in signage at the ground floor for a new commercial tenant and also to provide code required egress. As you can see in the existing conditions photo on the screen, the base of the building has been highly modified over time and has been infilled with stucco, metal bracing, CMU, brick, and a garage door opening at the end here. And highlights of the proposal will be removing the paint and the graffiti at the base and then restoring missing windows. Here's the circa 1940 tax photo where we can see the historic base configuration. At the center 3 bays, we have multi-light windows that match the windows at the upper floors. And then some zoom-ins of the end bays here at the east or on the left side of the building. We have a tripartite configuration with 2 doors flanking infill and a bulkhead below. And then at the western entrance, there was a stable door that's been replaced by the garage door that's flanked by 2 multi-light windows. Here is an overall existing elevation above and then a proposed elevation below. At the easternmost bay here on the left-hand side, we're proposing a new door for the commercial tenant entrance to match the existing building entrance door to have painted signage above. We're also proposing to replace to modify an existing signboard with new signage for the commercial tenant. At the bay, the next bay over, there is an existing stair that doesn't have any means of egress currently. So we're proposing to add a new door to meet egress requirements. Because it isn't a stair, it also needs to be fire rated. So the existing CMU and stucco meets that requirement and it will remain in place. The next 2 bays, we're proposing to remove the existing stucco and metal bracing and restore the missing multi-light windows with new windows to match the existing exactly, but will be fixed in operation. And then at the westernmost bay, currently this is just open area behind the garage door. So this will be infilled with a new metal system with transom windows and an egress door to meet code. To reference the stable door design, but also reflect that tripartite rhythm that we're seeing across the building. We're also proposing to recreate the missing side lights that flank this bay. So here is a zoom in of the ground floor with a partial plan below, just calling out that existing stair that you're seeing here that we're adding a door to. There's also a gas meter room that's below the stair in this location. In these center bays, there will be a prep room that requires a partition to protect the new windows that will be here. This will be painted a dark blue to obscure visibility into this space and also to create continuity. Here, we're proposing vinyl decals that are applied to the interior of the glazing and are just like a sticker that can be reversed. At the Landmarks Committee meeting, there was some concern about that these might be too vibrant. So we have revised the proposal so that all of the vinyl decals will be translucent instead of opaque in this bay. And we'll see a rendering on the next page that shows that it has quite a muted appearance. So here is a mock-up of what that would look like. Here's existing windows on the left. Proposed decals on the right to show that this is quite a differential and muted appearance when it will be installed. The other change that's happened since the Landmarks Committee meeting is we updated the door size and the stable entrance to be 8 to meet code. So the design has been slightly adjusted so that this can meet code, but it still retains its symmetrical reading and that tripartite configuration to reflect the rhythm of the building. And then just again, overall existing and proposed elevation. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Anybody have any questions?
Yes, Simon. Yeah, I just want to if you can repeat. You said you had it was a committee. I know we voted for it, but there was a concern about the color. You said that we what color? You said you adjusted it.
So they were opaque decals in one of the window bays, which would have created a more vibrant appearance, and they've been changed to all transparent. So there's a much more muted appearance to the decals.
All right, because that was the only concern the committee had. Besides that, we all voted for it, right? Okay, thank
Right.
you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Steve Chester?
Thank you. Thanks again for representing that. Yeah, just the second bay from the left with the office door. Understand the you know the egress requirements, but just want to just ask again if you explored other options for rather than having a wall, you know, surround the door that would, you know, be, I don't know, a gentler you know, design that would blend in with the rest of the ground floor bays and above.
Yes, I mean it's challenging because of the requirement to have it a fire rated enclosure for the stair, and because we have a gas meter room behind this wall as well. So you know, it has to all be fire rated material. So it sort of has to be like a CMU or sheetrock or something, you know, similar to that. So we feel that this is it's a way of providing the code requirement without impacting any historic fabric. And if there is a better way to meet that code in the future, it doesn't, you know, negate that possibility for installing something in the future if a better option comes around for meeting New York City code.
All right, thank you.
Shelley? Shelley?
Sorry, my connection, I lost you for a moment. No, but is there a possibility of using fire-rated glass or maybe still using that window cladding and maybe use a double material on the indoor? But I believe it's not my specialty, I don't know by code, but definitely there are fire-rated glass that been used in other occasion in a similar situation, especially in light of the fact that this is not a wood system window, it's also.
You have a question?
Yeah, that's a question, Madam Chair.
Yeah,
I need to
it seems be a
articulate the question.
Right, it's actually a 3-hour rating for an egress stair as opposed to a 2-hour rating where you might have seen fire rated glass in other circumstances. It's different for a stair enclosure. So you would need CMU or equivalent for this type of situation.
Okay, that's what about also thinking about some other possible material that would have been included on top of the blocks. Mostly what I have stated at the meeting, you know, a possibility to harmonize more, you know, that will be up to LPC, but just not inserting a door in the block. Once you have done a beautiful work, and I support certainly the work as I stated before. So I support the application, but it feels a little bit uncompleted in comparison in relation to the work you have done. But that's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Are there any other questions? I don't see any hands. I don't hear any voices. Okay, thank you so much, Sarah, for this presentation. Have a good evening.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Next item on the agenda is New York City Department of Parks and Recreation. Mary?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm here with Alaire O'Connor, who I see. She'll be presenting this evening, but I'll just give a quick introduction. Alaire is our engineering team leader for parks. So she's going to be presenting a project related to the Metropolitan Recreation Center. This project is solely looking at the sidewalks around the park, so on both Bedford and Metropolitan sides. They're also going to be doing some structural repairs to the building that she can go through and just let you know about. So I'm going to let Alaire take it away because I know we have a very tight time limit here. Alaire, I think you're muted.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to share my presentation. Here we go. Okay, thank you, Mary. Like she said, I'm here to present the sidewalk reconstruction at the Metropolitan Recreation Center. It is a mayorally funded project. The goals of this project are to reconstruct the deteriorated portion of the building beneath the sidewalk running along Bedford Avenue and to replace the dilapidated sidewalk surface on both Metropolitan and Bedford Avenue and to improve accessibility into the building at both the ramps and the step entrances. The Metropolitan Recreation Center is located on the northwest corner of Metropolitan Avenue and Bedford Avenue. The current existing conditions are illustrated in this graphic. Along Metropolitan Avenue, we have existing concrete sidewalk. The red dotted lines show deteriorated portions of the existing sidewalk. The yellow corner is the existing ped ramp that is not up to current ADA code and does not have the current required pedestrian ramps. And then running along Bedford, you can see that we have both concrete sidewalk and running down the center of it, illustrated by the red rectangular pattern, is the tiled distinctive pavement sidewalk. These are views of Bedford Avenue. The first picture is looking towards Metropolitan. You can see the sidewalk, the tiled sidewalk running through the center of the sidewalk, the existing ramp and entrances into the recreation center. The second picture is a view looking south, sorry, where again you can see the deteriorated sections of sidewalk that we're looking to replace. Here are views of the existing sidewalk along Metropolitan. The first picture is looking east, and you can see that there's different patches of sidewalk and there's several trip hazards. The second photo is looking west. Again, you can see cracks in the sidewalk, an existing tree pit that's too small, and will be expanding to the limits highlighted in the blue line. These are views of the existing pedestrian ramps. The first picture is the view of the sidewalk corners. The existing slope exceeds ADA restrictions in the direction towards the street, and it currently is puddling, as you can see the cracking in the asphalt that's occurring. The second picture is a view of the ramp and handrails that are the existing ADA entrance into the building. We plan on addressing the staining that's occurring at the ramps. We're going to be removing and resetting both the ramp and the railing. This view is of our new proposed plan. The goal here is to replace this section of sidewalk along Metropolitan and Bedford. We will be removing the distinct sidewalk along Bedford Avenue. It will all be new plain concrete. We'll be changing the existing slope on both sidewalks so that when we get to the corner, we can better meet the ADA requirements. We'll be installing the new DOT required detectable warning surfaces. We'll install new handrails at both step entrances into the recreation center. We'll be removing and resetting the ramp entrance into the recreation center. And then, as Mary mentioned before, this project was initiated because along Bedford Avenue, underneath the sidewalk is the existing vault to the building. And underneath that sidewalk, we've had a severe water damage to the existing structural of the building. So we'll be replacing both steel columns and beams underneath that sidewalk. So this is just a rendering of what it should look like when we are finished. Any questions?
Thank you. Katie? Katie?
Sorry, I didn't have a question. I was actually trying to put my hand down.
El Caponegro?
Yeah.
Eric Bazides?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just curious, last year, DOT, I think they're still actually working on it. DOT had a mandate to install new ADA corners. I'm just wondering why this corner wasn't done and now that you have to do it, or was it a, you know, consultation with DOT that you were going to do this work? And that's why it's happening. I support the work. I know that corner very well, and it's kind of treacherous. So I'm glad to see that something's being done for it. But I'm just curious about the DOT component.
I wasn't aware that DOT surveyed this corner. I know that they are surveying throughout the city and making upgrades as they can. What happened was when we went out to survey the vault and the sidewalk work that had to be done, we realized that the corner also needed to be addressed. And in doing so, we realized that the Metropolitan sidewalk also needed work. So to address both sidewalks and regrade to try and bring the corner up to ADA grades, it just made sense to do this as a whole project.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Bill, are you ready now? Bill?
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Any other questions?
No.
Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mary, for your presentation.
Thank you, and we'll be presenting to the Parks Committee next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Ressler, would you like to speak now? Are you still on? I saw your hand up.
Chair Fuller, that's very kind of you. I really appreciate it. It is always good to be with you and with the fine folks at CB1. I hope that everybody had a wonderful Passover or Easter, or if you're still going on Ramadan, that you're getting ready for Eid this week. We have a couple, we've been working through our reappointments process. I think the Borough President's Office is going to let folks know imminently. We have a couple of great new folks added to CB1 to fill some positions, and we've reappointed some really quality CB1 officials as well. And so I just want to thank everyone for their service. Wanted to share just a few quick updates of things happening around the neighborhood that we've been working on. Big priority for us has been improving the health of our street trees. We had a great event in Greenpoint on Sunday with the Greenpoint Tree Corps. We had 30, 40 odd neighbors out in northern Greenpoint cleaning the streets, cleaning our tree beds, distributing processed compost to keep our trees healthy. We've got another great event coming up this Saturday with Katie and the North Brooklyn Parks Alliance on the north side. We're hoping to get even more volunteers out for Earth Day to help keep our trees healthy. This is part of our district-wide plan to plant 3,400 new trees in every single available tree bed across District 33, and to also do work to improve the health of our trees across the district. We've been really focused on the Meeker Avenue plumes and getting this community action group, the community advisory group, off the ground, getting the CAG started. We had an info session last week with Congresswoman Velasquez and Senator Gonzalez and Assemblymember Gallagher to educate neighbors about the CAG. And there's an initial meeting happening next month, May 10th, where we're trying to encourage neighbors to come out and be a part of this new community advisor group so that we can get the Meeker Avenue plumes cleaned up as quickly as possible. We also have, we're able to push to successfully get the EPA to do expedited testing at PS 110, and we're having a community meeting next week with the families at 110 to share results. We'll also be actively working with Councilmember Gutierrez and the folks in Cooper Park to make sure that we're getting information to the residents there who are impacted by Meeker Avenue plumes. I'm hopeful that the CAG will hold its meetings at Cooper Park and really do a good job of engaging and including the leadership and community members there. We have a number of other meetings coming up. We've been really working closely with the folks at the Clay Street shelter in Northern Greenpoint. Last year, we were getting significant complaints and concerns from community members around safety issues and quality of life issues. We've worked closely with the shelter operator and DHS to try and improve conditions. We've heard from neighbors that things have been getting much better. So we've got a community advisory board meeting coming up in 2 weeks on May 3rd, if anybody's interested in being a part of that. We're also really focused on trying to improve garbage conditions around the district. We're meeting with some neighbors on the north side in early May and the Department of Sanitation to try to improve street cleanliness in the area. We've paid for ACE, which are formerly homeless individuals, part of a nonprofit organization called ACE that have been doing street cleaning along Bedford Avenue in the north side and Manhattan Avenue in Greenpoint. We're keen to expand their efforts and expand partnership with the Department of Sanitation. We've got too many trash baskets overflowing, too many curbs that aren't getting cleaned. We're also working to plan some alternate side parking enforcement days on the north side to try to facilitate greater compliance with ASP so that we can get our curbs cleaned. We're excited about some of the progress we've been hearing from the Department of Transportation around McGinnis, and we're keen for them to come and present to the community board in early May and their plans for continuing the Brooklyn Greenway up along Commercial Street. And we're excited for them to come to the community board and get your all's input and feedback on that. But I think we've got some really good upcoming projects to make our streets safer across the district. And the one big update I really want to underscore is that we are doing a resource fair on April 30th, Sunday, April 30th from 12 to 4. So 2 Sundays from now, where we're going to be at 114 Taylor Street at Independence Community Center, Independence Towers. We're partnering with Congresswoman Velasquez and Senator Salazar, Assemblymember Gallagher, all of our great partners. They're going to be we've got dozens of organizations coming to share information about job training and job assistance, childcare programs, housing assistance, and so much more. This is a great opportunity for folks in South Williamsburg to access the resources they need. El Puente and UJO are our partners in organizing this event. I think it's going to be a real added value for the South Williamsburg community. Also in South Williamsburg, that weekend, April 29th, we've got a couple other great events. It's a South Williamsburg weekend. We're doing a gun buyback at Church of All Saints down near the Broadway Triangle. So if anyone you know is willing and prepared to get rid of a firearm, excuse me, there will be no questions asked. We're organizing this event with the Attorney General and the District Attorney and others. This is a great way to improve safety in our community. As much as $500 per weapon for folks who turn in guns. And we're also doing a tree giveaway at IS 318, the great middle school in South Williamsburg, from 2 to 4 on April 29th that weekend as well. The gun buyback is from 10 to 1, and the tree giveaway is from 2 to 4. So we got a lot of fun stuff happening all around the district. But most importantly, if there's anything that my team can do to help, just let us know. Emily Ruby's on here from my office. I really just want to thank you, Chair Fuller, for the opportunity.
You know, the crime is bad again when they do the gun buybacks. Remember back in the day?
Is that interrupting?
Say it again, Michael. I think that was Michael. Well, but we're excited about the gun buyback. I hope you are too, Michael. If there's anything we can do to help, just let us know. It's great to be with you all as always.
Thank you so much, Councilman. Have a good evening.
Thank you,
Next
Chair.
item on the agenda is New York City Environmental Protection, DEP. Deputy Commissioner of Public Affairs and Communications, Beth DeFalco.
Hi, everybody. It's not Beth. We had let the community board know Beth couldn't get on the call, but I'm glad to be here. I'm Mario Bruno, Assistant Commissioner for Intergovernmental Affairs, and I'll be giving the presentation on our amnesty program, which we're running till April 30th. So I'm going to try and share my screen. Everybody see that?
Yes, we see it.
Thank you. So DEP, in order to give people an opportunity to pay their water bills that they are backed up on, and that we were given an opportunity to pay their water bills by and pay down the principal and avoid paying penalties and interest, a one-time opportunity. So we launched this temporary amnesty program. Unlike other city agencies, DEP, the water system, DEP's water system, the city's water system, and the sewer system expenses are directly funded by revenue from water bills. DEP's been facing a growing delinquent account receivables balance, which threatens our finances. 1 in 4 New York City water customers are behind on their bills, and that represents a $1.2 billion of revenue that's not going into the water and sewer system to upgrade it and keep it running and safe and functioning. The truth is, many customers fell behind on their water bill during the pandemic. So this is just a graph talking about what I just relayed to you. This creates problems for us, growing debt uncertainty for those in true difficulty, and a lack of debt collection can encourage abuse. So basically, this is the terms of the program for the limited amnesty. Someone who's seriously delinquent with a balance of greater than $1,000 for over a year, we give them 3 options. If they pay 100% of the principal, the actual water and sewer bill charges, 100% of the interest is forgiven. If they pay 50% of principal, 75% of interest is forgiven. And if they pay 25% of principal, 50% of interest is given. With all other delinquents, 100% of principal paid, 100% of interest is forgiven. If there's a remaining delinquent balance greater than $500, after that, the customers can enter into a payment agreement, which is very common for us to do at DP. As I said before, the amnesty program ends on April 30th. And here's the information. You go to nyc.gov/DEP/amnesty. You can put in your DEP account number and see if you qualify. And you can see what the website looks like on that page. But we also launched an improved low-income household water assistance program. And with that, DEP's customers may be eligible for up to $5,000 in affordability assistance on their water bills through New York State's Low-Income Household Water Assistance Program, LIWAP, administered through New York State's Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. If a customer receives this benefit from New York State, DEP will match it an additional $5,000 as a part of LIWAP Plus, and a combined total savings of up to $10,000 on remaining delinquent water bill balance. And this is the website. You can get more information about it. otda.ny.gov/programs/water-assistance. And in order to conduct this outreach, we sent targeted letters and emails to the seriously delinquent amnesty customers. We included inserts in all delinquency notices and information on bills to delinquent customers. And we made many calls and sent targeted letters and emails to eligible customers, encourage them to apply for our assistance programs. Our promotional materials are also posted at all 5 borough offices. Excuse me. The fastest service for amnesty is available at nyc.gov/DEP/amnesty. Our call center is open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can always call about your water bill by calling 718-595-7000 or email amnesty@dep.nyc.gov. And, we have the addresses to each borough office, which is open 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Mondays to Fridays is here. And you can also find that online. And there's many different ways to pay. We have a MyDEP account, which kind of works like an online banking account. And we encourage people to sign up for MyDEP because then they can track their water usage and always be on top of their bills. It can help them see if they're having excessive usage or a leak. And in terms to a question we get a lot, can I receive amnesty on more than one property I own? Yes, you may receive amnesty for any property you own with a qualifying delinquency. Separate payments may need to be made for each account. And this is just talk about some definitions, and just repeating how people can contact the agency to get amnesty. Right now, like I said, the program's going to end on April 30th. And that's the end of the presentation, and we'd be glad to try to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Mario. Does anybody have any questions for DEP? Sonia Glazer.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Mario. For the amnesty program, they're not thinking about an extension for those. Sometimes this information doesn't get quick enough to property owners or property managers. You'd ever
They
think,
have-
would they ever
haven't-
think about extending it? I mean, sometimes I find in my experience that a lot of property owners and property management don't get the information in time. Would there be some kind of exception or maybe an extension?
Well, what I can tell you is that once you apply for amnesty, everything, once you put it into motion, it doesn't mean that that opportunity will end at April 30th. Once you contact us and tell us you want to apply for amnesty, and we set that into motion and start working on whatever it is, a payment plan or a payment agreement, then it doesn't matter if what happens afterwards falls past the April 30th date. But I certainly appreciate what you're saying, and I will take back the consideration of extending it. We'll see what happens.
Thank you so much. And you have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Are there any other questions? Thank you so much for your presentation. Very informative. Thank you, Mario.
Well, thank you for having me tonight.
You're welcome. Bye. Greenpoint Landing. Greenpoint Landing, 2 Water Street.
Hi, everyone. Is Karen able to share her screen?
I'm gonna try here.
So I'm Ellen Lehman with Freed Frank Land Use Counsel to the applicant Greenpoint Riverview Associates. This is an application for 2 waterfront zoning authorizations for the waterfront public access areas on the last parcel of Greenpoint Landing, parcel 5C2. I want to introduce the rest of the team. My colleague Melanie Myers with Freed Frank, Karen Tamir from James Corner Field Operations, Landscape Architects, and Marion Klein from Greenpoint Riverview Associates. I'm going to turn it over to Karen to present the waterfront design, and then I'll finish at the end with the specifics of the 2 waterfront zoning authorizations before the board.
Hi, everyone. This is Karen Tamir. Can you hear me all right? I think my camera is frozen, but my voice, I think, is all right.
Can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. I will start. All right, so what you have in front of you is the master plan, updated master plan of Greenpoint Landing, showing the parcel in front of you today, 5C2, as well as the full master plan parts which are already constructed to our north, which we will show a few pictures of. You could see here some of the parcels that have been done to date. Blue Slip and Bell Slip along the water. You could see the dog run on the upper right side. We have a generous lawn on the upper left here that's heavily used, a picnic area, as well as a couple of pathways for recreation and strolling along the waterfront. Moving a little bit south, skipping Newtown Barge Park. This is the extension of the DuPont Street. There is the upland connection with the buoy at the very end towards the water. Again, here we have the esplanade. The esplanade is lushly planted and as movable tables and chairs, and we try to salvage whatever relics pertaining to the water works, like the mooring bollards and things like that within the site. So as we embarked on developing the design to the south, what was noted as 5C2, what we're here for today, we've met with the community. We're only listing a handful here of points that we heard. Those were the priority items. We've heard a lot of things over the course of the years, but these are the priority elements. One was maximizing the natural feel of the waterfront. Everybody wanted to see more planting, wilder feel, a softer shoreline. People wanted to see to get closer to the water. providing opportunities to do so. There was a strong preference to see more curvilinear and meandering paths, so you are surrounded by planting, immersed in them, and then minimizing fences and railing and obstructions that keeps one away from the water and the views more obstructed. The site layout plan is in front of you. I'll walk you from the top, the north, to the bottom, south, starting from Eagle Street, where we are seamlessly connecting to what's been constructed to our north with similar palettes. More planting. You could see that as you go south here, the path is meandering. We meandered as much as we can and added a smaller path, footpath that are more immersed in planting. So that was important to you, and we thought it was a great thing to do. There are areas for sitting, for picnicking, a couple of lawns, different sized lawns. We included a path that dips down closer to the water. We call it the riparian path. One can then ascend up to Freeman Street. And then lush gardens, riparian edge, planted edge along the esplanade, trying to keep it on both sides. Sitting areas, shade, tree shades, and going down south of Green Street, we have the larger lawn of the two with benches and shade trees, as well as sitting cove where one can sit closer to the water as well. Green Street Pier kept the width of it, but tilted it slightly to improve the views. These kind of generous views toward the north where you see Roosevelt Island and the city, and also to daylight the wooden piles that are there to create habitat, better habitat, aquatic habitat. On the pier itself, we have a path that dips down, again, trying to bring one closer to the water with sittings, boulders, bringing some of that kind of materiality and the tougher materiality onto the site. At the terminus, we have a synthetic turf area with lounge seatings and shade structures, as well as a kind of a feature paving. The idea is that there could be small events there. And on the south side of the pier, a lounge, again, shaded lounge area and planting and trees and a shade structure as well. You will see it soon enough. So kind of walking from north to south, this is the meadow path. All our pathways are accessible. Everything is below 5% slope, so easily traversed by everyone. Picnic area here with a number of picnic tables and benches. As we move south, we can get rid of, or we got rid of the guardrail where we didn't need to. So you could see that as we connect to the north of us, there's a little bit of guardrail still needed. But as we move south, we were able to eliminate and also plant the shoreline on both sides of the pathway where we could. We've done that with plants that can be inundated with saline waters. We have a small lawn, as you could see here, lots of trees. We've added many trees. This section of the waterfront is over 53% planted, so much, much greater than what's required in the zoning today, which is 35%. You could see here the path. Again, all our paths are ADA, so smooth surfaces to the degree that are needed, armrests and companion seatings across the board. We worked hard with Parks Department over the course of the last couple of years, as well as city planning, to ensure that everything is per code and is accessible and well used. As we move south, there's another area that's widened up. So here too, we have picnic tables and benches with, without backs. Here we're bringing up the riprap to create a somewhat more naturalized feel of the water's edge where we can. This is a kind of a cane detector. We have to have a curb on that side, and that's what that does. moving south towards that lawn, so oval lawn, flexible lawn. The idea is that it's for all sorts of activities. There could be small classes for fitness. There could be just a leisurely, use of the lawn. We've used boulders strategically as partially also to deter skateboarding damage. And you could see on the south side of that path, the esplanade, there is the sitting steps going down towards the riprap edge, which will be also planted. There's another path here that leads you to Green Street as well. The pier itself is about 45 feet wide, 500 feet long, and it has a 12-foot clear path as required, and also a couple of areas as an amenity, so shaded lounge seating, many benches, trees that are not shown here for clarity, but they're there, the alley of trees, and of course seating facing north as well, with the sort of leaf-shaped shade structure at the very end, and chaise lounges. A few views of the pier. So you could see here on the very right are the wooden piles that we are keeping, again to encourage aquatic habitat to take place and to bring people down. It's again accessible, and the sitting steps with the boulders are meant to deter skateboarding, but also provide kind of more naturalized way of sitting. There's also benches in the midst, so there's many kinds of ways of gathering, engaging, and sitting. You could see on the south side of the pier planting, shade structure, and more chaise lounges. And this is the terminus of the pier, where there's a kind of a paving feature. The idea is, again, there could be a small band on a Friday night, or all sorts of storytelling or something like that that we'd like to encourage. And again, sort of a surface that would be pleasant to sit on, and as well as more chaise lounges with companion seating as well. I'm going to turn it over to Ellen to go through the actions.
Thanks, Karen.
Sure.
So the actions before the board are for zoning authorizations under ZR sections 62, 822A and B that allow modifications to the requirements relating to waterfront public access areas, or WPAAs. We're requesting a total of 4 modifications to the zoning resolution requirements. 3 of those allow for the development to incorporate certain flood resiliency measures, and then the last one is required due to necessary utility services. So from the top, the first modification allows for the primary circulation path to be linked to the properties to the north and south by locating the elevation of the waterfront yard at the same elevation of those adjacent properties. The second modification would allow for an increase in the elevation of the Eagle Street and Green Street visual corridors, so those paths leading to the water, to allow the building entrances located along those corridors to be raised above the 100-year floodplain. The third modification, somewhat related, relates to wall heights. The zoning resolution design requirements state that walls located in anywhere in a WPAA may not exceed a height of 21 inches. However, because the adjoining buildings will be located above the base flood elevation, portions of the walls along the eastern boundary of the WPAA at the building edge exceed this height. The last modification relates to trees on the upland connections. The zoning requires that a tree be planted every 25 feet along those connections. However, there'll need to be Con Ed vaults located in the sidewalk on both Eagle Street and Green Street. Where the vaults are located, no trees can be planted. On the remainder of the sidewalk, there will be trees planted every 25 feet. And there'll be more trees in the shore public walkway and on the Green Street pier than the amount required under the zoning resolution, such that if you looked at it as a whole, the WPAA will have more trees than required. I also want to note that in addition to the 2 waterfront authorizations before the board, the applicant is seeking 2 zoning certifications from the chairperson of city planning. The first certification will confirm that apart from the 4 modifications I just described, the waterfront design will comply with all requirements under the zoning resolution. The second certification will approve a phasing plan such that the WPAA adjacent to each of the 3 large development sites will be constructed prior to the opening of any building on that adjacent development site. That concludes our presentation, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Alan. Steve Chesler.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation. It's really a fantastic design, really, really great. I know the community asked for a lot of the various elements, but yeah, no, I just wanted to say that, and also I'll reserve more questions for the committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Are there any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Thank you again, Ellen, for your presentation.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Likewise.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Senator Gonzalez.
Hi, everyone. Hey, can you hear me?
How are you? Yes.
Doing well, thanks. Just wanted to hop on here to give some updates on where we're at with the budget, what our office has been up to. I know it's been a long meeting, so I'll keep them brief, but also just happy to take questions at the end if there's anything specifically folks here want to talk about. So quickly to just start with in district, what we've been focusing on as an office. I'm sure you heard from some of the other elected updates. We most recently had the Community Advisory Group's first meeting for Meet Their Plume, which is a partnership that I'm really excited to be in with Assemblymember Gallagher and Councilmember Ressler, as well as Congresswoman Velasquez. In addition to that, that same week, which was last week, we sat down with the Energy Secretary from the Biden administration and talked about with some of the folks on this call. Actually, it looks like some of the organizers who are there are also here on the community board call, but really excited that we had the chance to talk about how Brooklyn is, and really Greenpoint and Williamsburg's waterfront specifically, are a battleground for not only energy, but environmental conservation, sustainability, having a not only renewable energy sources, but a sustainable waterfront, battleground for protecting us from flooding. So we talked about all of these issues and emphasized the need for more federal funding, but also just a concerted effort from all levels of government to counter the misinformation we've been seeing from fossil fuel companies in getting pieces of legislation across on both city and state, whether it's All Electric Buildings Act, which is Assemblymember Gallagher's bill, or the Bill Public Renewables Act as well. So we had a really great conversation there. I've also been working with our overlapping electeds and some of our neighboring Brooklyn electeds on BQE to ensure that we are continuing to push the governor to make sure this is a priority for this year. So our office has been working with the DOT to not only get more insight into what we can do, but also push for more community engagement. So we should be seeing that. Finally, we are focusing on street safety on the state level. That looks like passing Sammy's Law. But I was really excited to see that on Commercial Street, we had a crosswalk. There's still so much more to do in terms of street safety, whether or not it's McGinnis Boulevard, which we are making headway there. I did hop on and I heard Councilmember Ressler mention that. So, we are going to continue pushing and working together in McGinnis or Commercial Street or, other places in Brooklyn, but also throughout the district, in Astoria and in Manhattan. There's so much left to do. And so our office has started to do some organizing around it and really want to encourage folks here, if they're interested, to reach out. If you're interested in volunteering around this, definitely want to partner on that. On the state level, so while I've been in Albany, which is where I'm at right now, we have a late budget, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard. And this late budget is really a result of some disagreements in really philosophy from the Senate, the Assembly, and the executive, because we're at the point in the budget where it's in three-way negotiations, right? The Senate has submitted our version of the budget, the Assembly their version, and we have the governor's proposals. And some of those key disagreements include public safety and The governor insisting that the path forward is incarcerating more individuals when really we want to see investment in our community and education and community-based solutions and more. It's been around housing. That's a really big one, especially this week. We've been working on rallying for increased tenant protections, specifically good cause eviction. So we have a proposal to build more housing from the governor, but really the philosophy there is if we're going to build more housing, we want to ensure that tenants can stay in their homes. And good cause eviction, as many of you know, would do that by capping rent increases at the end of a lease, and also ensuring that folks have the right to renew their leases and stay in their homes. So that's been another big fight. And then we're also gearing up for more fights around really environmental conservation, energy. We're trying to get our Build Public Renewables Act across the finish line. Most recently, I was organizing to kill a bill that proposed to change our methane accounting levels, which essentially would have meant that we changed the number of years we track methane emissions as New York State to make it seem like we were doing more for climate than we actually are. And so we organized in both the Senate and the Assembly to make sure that that was killed. But we want to make sure that any plan moving forward, centers our district needs, but really our principles of moving off of fossil fuels and moving towards, renewable energy and environmental conservation. So those have been the biggest fights for the budget, but happy to dig into any of those or answer any questions that folks may have again on what's going on. Oh, I hope I don't know if we were just that thorough in the update or if it's late, but either way, if folks don't have questions, I am happy to just shout out my community affairs director who is on the call, Marissa, and just remind folks we're here. So feel free to reach out anytime if you do have questions.
I see, Eric, do you have a question? William Vega, you have a question for the senator?
Yeah, Senator, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for coming. Just can you talk a little bit about redistricting at all and the judge vote coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did, to start with the second part, the judge vote, it happened today. We confirmed Judge Rowan Wilson for the Court of Appeals. And that's really exciting because that's the result of organizing from folks in our district to get a judge that represents our values as working class New Yorkers, who honestly, has a record that reflects what we need when the rest of the country has radical right-wing courts. We need New York to be a model, like a leader in this space. And I'm very confident that Judge Wilson will be that now that he is confirmed. And then the first part of that, talking about redistricting, I just actually touched base with Assemblymember Gallagher. They will be voting, it looks like, on lines this week, but the maps are not out. So I'm really proud of especially the folks in Brooklyn who showed up, and the folks here in this call who showed up to give testimony, who, in person also have come to Albany to lobby on the redistricting lines. So there's been, and also submitted comments. I think we've had so much engagement. So I'm really proud of that. And at this point, feeling hopeful that all of that was heard, but we will not have that information until Thursday, I believe.
William Vega.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In fact, the questions I have, Eric presented to you and you answered them. So all I can say, we appreciate you, Kristen. We appreciate you.
I appreciate all of you. And again, there's a lot of fights ahead of us. So if there's anything we can do to help, reach out to us. But we'll keep you all posted as things progress with the budget and with districting.
Thank you, Senator. Take care.
Have a good night, y'all. Bye.
Likewise. Next item on the agenda is liquor license. Do we have any speakers on the liquor license?
Yes, do Samir? Samir, you're unmuted. Samir, you could unmute yourself. I sent a request to unmute.
Let's call the next speaker, Joanna, and we'll call him again.
Sure. Ronald Baruti.
Hi.
Ronald, are you there?
Hi. Yes, I am. Sorry. First of all, thank you for allowing me to speak. This is in regards to the liquor license at 160 North 12th Street, 147, 149, McCarran LLC, and the hotel's name is Coda Williamsburg. And Samir is so I'm the general manager of the hotel, and Samir is the president of the condo board that surrounds the hotel. And I just wanted to address everyone in regards to the noise complaints that have been occurring. And I can give you so many reasons about why I wasn't involved, but it was my managers basically keeping me out of the loop on these things. I have since met with Samir on March 31st, spoken to him since. He and I are in agreement. We've worked very well together, in the past as well to get this under control. And I think that the hotel, and this is specifically as it relates to the rooftop, because that's where the noise complaints have been coming from. I understand the chairman of the SLA also, our attorney went before him, and there's a proposal out there to keep the rooftop enclosure closed at all times for the roof to be open and to operate. What we've done is we installed a soundproof wall on one side of the rooftop. We also installed a $150,000 rooftop enclosure to cut down on the sound as well. I am willing to not have DJs on the roof because that is, from what I understand, is causing the issues with the noise and the complaints from the residents. I would ask the board if we could still have the enclosure, keep it open during certain hours, and that we could have music like from a playlist, but not a DJ. Samir and I did speak in regards to there being exceptions to the DJs, which would be private, like corporate events and social events such as like wedding and bar mitzvah, where the hotel would let the condo know in advance before those things happen.
Next speaker, please. Joanna, call the next speaker, please.
Karen Guide.
Hi, all. Is this good? Just a minute, guys. I think my headphone's a bit off. Yeah, so I'm here to actually speak on the hotel issue as well. So, dear members of the board, I'm not going to take much of your time. I'll make it very simple. So, on April 4th of this month, so the 4th of this month, the hotel was told by the SLA board to not have DJs on their rooftop. But instead, what they did, all weekends since, they've had DJs on the rooftop. There have been multiple 311 complaints. We have spoken to people at the hotel as well, and all they can say is they can't do anything about it. Now, so I mean, I'm not, and they've had a soundproof wall. I mean, so first of all, it is not soundproof, right? So I don't think there's anything called soundproof here because we share a wall. So we share a wall with the hotel, right? So they say they have a soundproof wall, and the soundproof wall has been in place since last year, since middle of last year, I think. And they've had the enclosure for a while as well. And that has not abated the sound levels at all. So when the hotel says that they have everything soundproofed, it's actually false. Last weekend they had a day event where they had very heavy bass the entire day. I had such massive headaches, and in the end I had a massive fever as well. I think almost like 102 fever or so. So this is definitely not something that we approve of. I know Samir has been speaking to the hotel. I have spoken to Samir as well. And I think Samir and all of us have an understanding that we will speak to the hotel and we'll figure it out with the hotel. But I will say, as of now, please do not allow them to not have the rooftop enclosed until the time where we can actually sort this thing out. Oh yeah. Also, one other thing, Samir's having difficulty unmuting himself, so he's asked me to speak on his behalf.
You don't have to wait. We're gonna call the next person. We'll call back. We'll call him back after the next person. Maybe
Okay.
we done fixed it.
Okay,
Call the next speaker, Joanna.
thank you.
Radhika?
First of all, thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of 162 North 12 condominiums. I am also a resident of the condos next to Coda Hotel. And as Karan Guy mentioned earlier, we've been affected. I know I've come to this call, a few months ago explaining the nuisance that we've had from the rooftop. And even after the SLA has given notice that there should be no DJs, I've been, the bass is so strong in my home. There is no such thing as soundproof wall. I can hear everything from their rooftop in my condominium. I can't sleep. I've stepped out past 12 a.m. to just have some peace of mind. I've had several calls to the hotel reception, and the only thing they say is they can't do anything. I asked them to lower the music. They say they can't do anything. I have to talk to management. I don't know who management is here, but there's never been a resolution from last summer. From July of last summer till now, the music is constant and the bass is really loud. And I don't have any sort of, there's just so much talk that they'll do something. There's nothing that's been done. Even after the fact that the SLA said no DJs, they continue to violate that. And we have evidence of that, which we have emailed. So, I concur with what Karan said, that please help us ensure that we're having peace of mind in our own home. And I know you've heard from several members of our residents regarding this issue in your previous community board meetings. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is Shamir ready? Can Shamir speak now?
It's not unmuting.
Not unmuted.
I can speak on his behalf if you allow me to.
Okay, are you gonna say what he was gonna say, or you gonna repeat what you just said?
I'm just gonna say what he will he would have said.
Okay.
Yeah, so dear esteemed members of CB1 and Chair Fuller, as you know, the state SLA had its hearing regarding Coda Hotel and actually determined that the CB has the final say on whether or not a DJ should be allowed on the rooftop. We fundamentally believe there is no reason for a DJ and hope you agree. They already have one in the basement. Why the need for another one on the roof? The historical record of the hotel demonstrates that they have not followed the rules that are actually inner city. They have told you all in the past things will get better and things didn't. What has changed that allows us to feel confident that things will be better? Unfortunately, nothing yet. Since the hearing, I have had one meeting with the hotel GM. That was earlier tonight for 30 minutes. For the past 3 or 4 weeks after the hearing, the DJ has continued to play on the rooftop, causing a nuisance. The hospitality group does not seemingly care about the hearing officer's recommendations. As a community, we should work towards building a relationship with our businesses and making sure they do well. We believe that stricter, legally binding stipulations should be in place before they are granted permission to use the rooftop space as an entertainment venue. It's all.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our public hearing for tonight. We'll go into our board meeting. Can we have a moment of silence, please? Thank you. Can I have a roll call vote, please? Can I have a roll call?
Gina Argento. Baden Bakarowski. Lisa Bermonti.
Here.
Gina Barrows.
Here.
Eric Buzaitis.
Here.
Iris Cabrera.
Here.
Phil Caponegro.
Yeah.
Frank Cabone. Steve Chesler.
Here.
Michael Chinchilla.
Here.
Teresa Sincaro. Stephanie Cuevas. Ron and Daly. Ron and Daly. Giovanni D'Amato.
Here. Giovanni D'Amato here.
Yes. Aaron Drinkwater. Arthur Dibinowski. Lloyd Bang.
Here. Here.
Julia Manta Foster.
Here.
The Alice Fuller.
Yeah.
Mr. Garcia. Joe Goldstein.
Here.
Joe Gross.
Here.
David Helmick.
Here.
Sabrina Help. Katie Denny Horowitz.
Here.
Sonia Iglesias here. Moses Inding. Robert Jeffrey.
Here.
Rosina Kaminsky.
Here.
Corey Canton. Corey Canton. Paul Kilterborn.
Here.
William Cosbold.
Here.
Yolando. Marie Liaison. Yolo. Trina McKeever. Adam Myers.
Here.
Santi Michelli.
Here.
Toby Moskowitz.
Here.
Rabbi David Needleman. Karen Nieves. Mary Domerick.
I'm here.
Janice Peterson. Bella Sable.
Here.
Isaac Sofer.
Here.
Del T.
Here.
William Vega.
Here.
Maria Viera. Simon Weiser.
Here. You hear me, Simon? You hear me?
We hear you, Simon.
Thank you.
And this is Trina. I don't know if you got my ear.
Hi, this is Gina Argento. I'm here. Did you hear that?
Yes, I'm sorry, I was counting. 32 members after the call. It's 8:10.
Thank you, Sonia. Can I have an approval of the March 14th meeting?
Joe Gross.
And William Vega seconds.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
The
sorry.
agenda. Who the agenda?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can I have approval of the agenda?
Joel Gross.
And William
Gross.
Vega,
Gross,
and William Vega seconds.
William
Gotta
Vega,
help
Gross
me
and
here.
Vega.
Goodness gracious.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Against? Abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, now, can I have a motion for the March 14th meeting minutes?
I make a motion, Bozina Kaminsky.
Is there a second?
Caponegro.
Bozina and
Bozina.
Phil?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Against? Abstentions? Motion carried. Can I have a motion for the March 21st minutes?
Motion for the March 21st minutes. Lloyd Fang.
Lloyd?
Pardon me?
Second that, Ronan Daly.
Lloyd Fang and Ronan Daly, right?
Yep. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Against? Abstentions? Motion carried. Public session, can I have speakers for the public session?
There's none.
Okay. No. There
That's
isn't
all.
any more.
No.
Okay, committee reports. SLA?
Madam Chair, this is Eric Predatus. Bogdan cannot connect, and he asked me to just do the report. So if you will indulge me, I will go ahead and do it. And I think if you've had a chance to read the report, committee had a number of applicants that did not appear and were denied. We did not have any. We did not have any applicants that we denied on cause. So I will just ask that the board accept the report as written. And Gina, and I'll just defer to Gina Barros if she has any comments. But I think I've stated the meeting correctly.
Yes, you stated it correctly.
Thank you, Gina.
I make a motion, Bozina Kaminsky.
I second
Second.
that, Iris Cabrera.
Iris seconds, okay.
Bozina and Iris?
To accept the report as written, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Ready?
Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Gina Argento.
Yes.
Baden Bakarowski. Lisa Belmonte.
Yes.
Gina Barros.
Yes.
Eric Rosaides.
Yes.
Iris Carrera.
Yes, Sonia.
Thanks. Phil Capernegro,
Yes.
Frank Cabone, Steve Chesler,
Yeah.
Michael Chinchilla, Teresa Sincara, Stephanie Cuevas, Ron Daly,
Yes.
Giovanni Diamato,
Yes.
Aaron Drinkwater, Arthur DiBernowski, Lloyd Fang,
Yes.
Julia Amanda Foster,
Yes.
Crystal Garcia, Joe Goldstein,
Yes.
Joe Gross, David Helmick,
Yes.
Sabrina Help, Katie Denny Horowitz,
Yes.
Sonny Iglesias, yes. Moses Ending, Robert Jeffrey,
Yes.
Bozina Kaminsky,
Yes.
Corey Canton, Paul Kulterborn,
Yes.
William Clasbold,
Yes.
Yolando, Marie Liaison,
Yeah.
Yolo, Trina McKeever,
Yes.
Adam Myers,
Yes.
Sante Michelli,
Yes.
Toby Markowitz, Rabbi David Niederman, Karen Nieves, Mary Domerick,
Yes.
Janet Peterson, Bella Sables,
Yes.
Isaac Sofer,
Yes.
Del T,
Yes.
William Vega,
Yes, Sonia.
Maria Viera, Simon White,
Yes.
$29 yes, civil no, civil recusal, civil abstentions, motion carries.
Thank you, Sonia. Capital budget.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Capital Budget Committee met on March 27th via WebEx. 3 committee members were present. Also present at the committee was the Chair of the Transportation Committee, Eric Brasidas, and also the Chair of the Outreach Committee, Santi Mashali, and Chairperson Dialis Fuller was also present. Okay, just to review, the district needs statements for fiscal year 2024 was recently published and uploaded onto our Brooklyn Community website. Ms. Barrows related that district needs statements gives the community board a voice in the budget. These submissions are sent to the Office of Management and Budget, council members, and agencies. It provides the community such as community-based organizations, an opportunity to engage with agencies and elected officials in advocating for our prioritized district needs. This year, to increase our transparency across district need process, the agency responses in the reports was also published, and this report was uploaded. So everybody, if we go into the Brooklyn Community Board website, you will see the report and can review it. Ms. Barrows related that. Okay, so I highlighted again this is what we voted on, and however, all district needs state items are important. However, the 3 top pressing priorities for us are affordable housing, parks and open space, and land use issues, plus transportation equal together. There's 25 prioritized items and for the expense budget, and 28 prioritized items for the capital budget items. Okay, this was a review. The discussion. Okay, I want to highlight that I created the Excel file that aligns the district needs request items with the Brooklyn Community Board committees, with the agency responses, the community organizations and groups that support these items. And this is an opportunity for us to be able to track the district needs request items with the agency responses and see the progress that we're making. And this is a way for us to work together. Each committee works on their district need items and they work in partnership with the budget committee. Now, we did receive, and this was a concern at this is the beginning of the district need process. So we will be able to continue advocating for it because it just came out. But we were concerned because a lot of, and often the responses are project has not yet been funded or has not been funded or was not recommended for funding. So therefore, we talked about how to proceed or how to advocate for these district needs items. And again, I believe the committees have to work specifically on these district need items and then work with the capital budget committee. Ms. Del Teague suggested a recommendation or an idea was that we can explore if we can get the funding from the discretionary funding as a possibility. Also that we can go back and look at those district need items and re-strengthen them, reword them, give them more specifics for the reason we're making these requests. Also, it was, as I said, it was just published, therefore an opportunity for community organizations to continue to advocate for these needs, alerting the officials who will be receiving this district needs statement. Look, you received this district needs statement. Let's work together because these are our district needs. This is an opportunity for those community organizations and for the committee, those who are advocating for specific needs to work with the elected officials on this. Okay, we continued with, I will invite the liaison of the city planning to attend the capital budget committee. And I'm working on doing this on the next committee meeting, which will be on the 27th. And therefore we can work with the liaisons to help us on what can we do further? How can we further strengthen these district needs? What other steps do we take? Kate, and then, Mr. Santi Micheli related, three very important highlights that Williamsburg, and very important, Greenpoint and Williamsburg communities are growing significantly in population and new businesses, highlighted the importance of the creation of the new firehouse in site, which is number one on our district needs statement. So I think this is important. It's been number one, and it's number one on our district needs statements. Also highlighted the importance of the hospital in Greenpoint and Williamsburg community is needed because we have a elderly and aging population.
No.
Do
The
you
mom
get-
expensive.
Okay, and
Can everybody unmute yourself if you're not speaking? Thank you. I'm sorry.
also highlighted district need item number 3, a comfort station in the WNYC Transmitter Park, greatly needed because we have a growing population, including children and family that use the park. And further, he gave more discussion and ideas on outreach work that we can do. Mr. Eric Brasided also spoke about the work, and we've been working in partnership with the Budget Committee, with the Transportation Committee, and reviewing the district needs statements, and he provided an update, which is documented in my report. Okay, so I will leave it at that, and I will ask that the next committee report will be April 27th.
Thank you, Gina. There's a budget report, and Maria Vieira won't be able to give it, and everybody has the report. So it needs a vote. So I'm just going to read the discussion about the vote. The current total accrued balance is $8,888.36. There's no anticipation of spending down that amount within the next two-month period. A discussion took place regarding a proposed budget modification on OMB to relocate the accruals for uses that speak to the public benefit. Ms. Del Teague mentioned a lack of staff capacity at the district office. A recommendation was made to reallocate the accruals for the hiring of a temporary office worker to address some of the current staff shortages. Ms. Joanna Pugaria, newly hired district manager, quoted the amount required for the hiring of a temp office worker for a 40-day period is $7,554.40. The committee members in attendance agreed a budget modification for the purpose of hiring a temp office worker would be prudent to use the funds. A motion was made to recommend using the accruals on the budget to hire temporary office worker to assist the district manager with administrative tasks. The motion was made by Dale Teague and second by Janice Peterson. The motion was carried unanimous.
Make a motion?
Can I have a motion, please?
Sonia and
I second Del Teague.
Sonia and Dell, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Gina Argento,
Yes. Yes.
Balan Bakarowski, Lisa Bamonte,
Yes.
Gina Barrows,
Yes.
Eric Brusides,
Yes.
Iris Cabrera,
Yes.
Phil Capernegro,
Yes.
Frank Cabone,
Yes.
Steve Chesler,
Yes.
Michael Chinchilla, Teresa Sincata, Stephanie Cuevas, Ron Daly, Giovanni D'Amato.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
Everything-
Michael Chiricelli, yes.
Hello, people, help me, please, help me. Aaron Drinkwater, Arthur DiBernowski, Lloyd Fang,
Yes.
Julia Amanda Foster,
Definitely yes.
Crystal Garcia, Joe Goldstein,
Yes.
Joe Gross, David Helmick,
Yes.
Sabrina Help, Katie Denny Horowitz.
Yep.
Sonia Iglesias, yes. Moses Ending, Robert Jeffrey,
Yes.
Bonzina Kaminsky,
Yes, Sonia.
thank you. Corey Captain, Paul Kilterborn,
Yes.
William Clasbold,
Yes.
Yolando, Marie Liaison,
Yes.
Yolo, Trina McKeever,
Yes.
Adam Myers,
Yes.
Santi Michelli,
Yes.
thank you. Toby Moskowitz.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Toby. Rabbi David Niederman, Karen Nieves, Mario
Something else,
Domerick,
huh, Judy?
Yes.
Mario Domerick.
Yes, I said yes.
Thank you. Sorry, guys. Come on. Janice Peterson, Bella Sables,
Yes.
Isaac Sofer,
Yes.
Del T,
Yes.
William Vega,
Affirmative.
Maria Riera, Simon Weiser. Simon? Thirty yes, zero no, zero abstentions, zero recusal, motion carries.
Thank you, Sonia. Land use, Dell.
Thank you. Okay, I'll need a vote on this application for the renovation of the Bushwick Branch Library. This is one of the Carnegie buildings built in 1908. It is not landmarked, however. And the work that is being done consists essentially of replacing the whole roof. There'll be a flashing system with a hatch that will replace the existing plumbing work and the drains and the vent, and will vent piping. The new mechanical bulkhead will bring in outside air. The new HVAC system will increase energy efficiency, and also make it a lot nicer to be inside. The only question I think that board members had was concerned that the two libraries would be closed down at the same time, and the presenters advised us that they're actually desperate to have this work done. Last summer, because they had no air conditioning, they had to close the library completely for the safety of the staff and clients on a number of occasions. They also reminded us that it takes years for the funding to get put in place, and they really didn't have a choice of when to get this done. They also said it's only going to be for a couple of months, the overlap, and during that overlapping time when the two libraries are closed, they will do extensive community outreach. They'll be going to coffee shops, and they have mobile units. So anyway, the committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of the application. So I need a vote.
I'll make a motion, Trina.
Second, Phil Caponegro.
Trina and Phil. So, Del, I just put in the motion to approve the application 340 Bushwick Avenue.
Yes.
Department of Design and Construction, renovation, replacement of the heating and cooling system like you had in your report.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Gina Ardento. Gina. Biden Bakowski. Lisa Bamanti.
Yes.
Gina Barrows.
Yes.
Eric Rosides.
Yes.
Iris Cabrera.
Yes.
Phil Caponegro.
Yes.
Frank Cabone.
Yes.
Steve Chesler.
Yes.
Michael Chinchilla. Teresa Sencaro. Stephanie Cuevas. Ronan Daly.
Yes.
Giovanni D'Amato.
Yes.
Evan Drinkwater. Arthur Diminovsky. Lloyd Feng. Julia Amanda Foster.
Yes.
Crystal Garcia. Joe Goldstein.
Yes.
Joe Gross. David Helmick.
Yes.
Sabrina Help. Katie Denny Horowitz. Katie Denny Horowitz. Sonia Iglesia, yes. Moses Indy. Robert Jeffrey.
Yes.
Mosina Kaminsky.
Yes.
Corey Canton. Paul Kilterborn.
Yes.
William Clasbo.
Yes.
Yolando. Marie Lieza.
Yes.
Yolo. Trina McKeever.
Yes.
Adam Myers.
Yes.
Santi Michelli.
Yes.
Toby Moskowitz. Rabbi David Needleman. Karen Nieves. Mary Domerick.
Yes.
Janice Peterson. Bella Sable.
Yes.
Isaac Sofer. Del T.
Yes.
William Vega.
Here, yes.
Maria Vieira. Simon Weiser.
Yes, yes.
Thank
I was here
you.
before also.
Well, uh-oh, people, you gotta be in it.
My phone was.
This is Gina Argenta. It's yes. Sorry, I was having problems with my keyboard.
I got you, Gina. 29 yes, civil no, civil abstention, civil recusal, motion carries.
Thank you. So just quickly, We also discussed the rules regarding the IBIA special permits as is applicable to 12 Franklin Street, which we're going to be viewing and reviewing on next committee meeting on May 1st. So for those who are interested, I refer you to a wonderful email sent to us by Ms. Chan from DCP on March 23rd. It's a whole wonderful explanation of the rules for the initial applications and then what you look at for the two possible 3-year renewals. The other thing we talked about, Corey Canton, who is not here tonight, and I'm wondering if she's close to having that baby, her son. So anybody, I don't know if anyone knows, but anyway, prayers for Corey. Anyway, she reported on her discussion with Councilmember Ressler's office about the status of the affordability in our district. And as Steve Chesler pointed out at our meeting, it's ultimately up to us to decide what we want in terms of how much affordability, what the AMIs are, and all of that. However, we also decided let's ask people, for thoughts from DCP, from our council people, from nonprofits who do housing, so that we get ideas and different viewpoints. In any case, what she discovered was that of all the affordability we were promised, we've only had 13.2% affordable units so far. And again, that doesn't necessarily show that all those units are really affordable to us, but it's disappointing nonetheless. What she did get also from the conversation is the confirmation that the councilman is supportive of our asking for more than the minimum amount required of affordability, and also of our asking the developers to take responsibility for things that were traditionally not considered their responsibility, such as, maintenance in the parks, improvements in the sidewalks, maybe waterfront issues and improvements. So that was, basically a summary of what Corey mentioned. Now, I've asked DCP to come and speak to us about what we've gotten so far, what our current affordability is, what the AMI breakdown is, and I've asked for more information for tools that we can use to conduct research on these statistics, such as getting fellows to do independent research. I think we can ask for funding for that. So that's in the future. And Steve Chesler, I don't know if Steve wants to elaborate on this, but he did bring us up to date on the 315 Berry Street, the application to put all those batteries on the roof. Steve said it looks like the city's going to ignore our concerns about the safety. And that is very upsetting, but I don't know if Steve wants to add to that, but that's the end of my report.
Yeah, I could just quickly say that the tenants hired an attorney who requested an adjournment of the process, and the BSA rejected that. They're allowing the attorney to submit a response and then have the applicant's attorney respond to that. So that's like a 6-week process, starting from like the end of March. And so it's still be seen how it's inevitably going to play out. But the way the chair was talking and the other commissioners that or directors that they're setting it up to be approved based on zoning, and that issues with safety, like with fire and buildings integrity, deferring to the agencies that handle that. But it will be predicated on those agencies signing off. So.
Sorry, Steve, what does that mean? You said that they would approve it, but then they would have to go through the agencies to approve the safety, the fire department, all those people. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, essentially they've done that already. One of the, I think it was it wasn't the vice chair. Yeah, he still questioned the where drainage on the roof, where water would drain. in general, and also if there was a fire, you know, they had to use, you know, extensive amount of water. But the attorneys are questioning, you know, it's a rent stabilized building, being it's a loft dwelling, that there's issues with limiting the access of the tenants to the roof, which they've had as kind of an open space. And then also, I read our testimony from the Environmental Protection Committee and Land Use Committee's responses. And based on when the FDNYs came here to address how they would extinguish a fire like that, and basically said they don't have experience doing it. So I basically conveyed that to them, and the attorney picked up on that. And so that may be something that may be pushed. So, but again, the PSA is deferring to FDNYs, basically, you know, signing off on the project. So, and also what I've learned both from attending a recent city planning webinar on the city of Yes, which covers these battery storage system installations, is that in a commercial district, a C district, where there might be residential units above, you know, a commercial overlay, these installations are allowed as of right. And at the city of Yes, the carbon neutrality section will essentially just provide specific language for these units as part of that process. Right now, it's just talks about electric substations, I believe, right now. So, yeah, so that's where that's at.
I do want to commend Steve for his testimony. It was really incredible.
Yes, thanks, Steve. I'm only 100 feet away and I'm very concerned.
That concludes our report, Dale.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Thank you,
Yes,
everyone.
thank you. Public Safety and Human Services, Daley.
Can you hear me?
What are we doing, landmark, Chair?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Daley.
When?
Hello?
Chair, sorry, Chair.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't
sorry.
landmark after ULIP usually?
I'm doing the reports. When I call it, that's when it's gonna happen. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank
Public
you. Sorry.
Safety.
Chair Fuller, can you hear me?
Yes.
So report for Public Safety and Human Services, we met as a committee on the 29th of March for our bi-monthly meeting. In attendance were just one short of a quorum. We had one item to take a vote on, but before I get there, I'll run through the precinct reports before that. As far as the 94th precinct, Deputy Inspector Fahey attended the meeting and gave us updates on statistics and incidents in the area. As far as the monthly statistics, we're down 25% in major crimes in the 28-day period, down in every category of crimes except for one, which was automobile grand larcenies. But that was just by 4 more crimes than this period last year. So all in all, trending downwards for pretty much every crime. Quieter period of time this year compared to others, especially with grand larceny for nightlife, which had been spiking recently. While precincts around the 94th had been experiencing more armed robberies, there was far less in the 94th precinct. One gun recovered from a car stop on the 19th of March. As far as smoke shops, I know smoke shops have been concerned for us as a committee and us as a community. Still a concern, but the 94th precinct has been increasing the use of auxiliary officers and sheriffs for support. Sheriffs had been brought in to seize illegal marijuana, and the auxiliary officers were an undercover unit who would go into these shops to buy products. Once they would detect those products, they would then relay the messages to 94th, who would then come in and make those arrests. Because the sheriffs have a greater reach under the law to do inspections, they were used rather than NYPD, who don't have as much authority for those arrests. Nuisance abatement laws were something that have been used more and more by the 94th. For those of us who don't know what those nuisance abatement is, nuisance abatement is when there are more than 3 crimes in the same address in under 6 months. Businesses can be shut down, tied back to smoke shops and other businesses with a high number of grand larcenies, increase on businesses being shut down. In order for them to reopen, they need to be able to stipulate terms that prevent them from involving in further criminal behaviors. Another trend that's been continuing, which is something that we've seen in the past year, is distraction scams. Distraction scams are targeted towards elderly
Excuse me.
residents.
I'm sorry, Mr. Daly. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. There's
That's
a
okay.
background noise that's driving me to drink.
Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, I can hear you, but if somebody keeps coming in, I don't know who has not muted, but it's bad. So please, guys, let's be respectful.
Sonia, I can keep going and let me know if you still hear something.
Thank you, Mr. Daly.
Yeah, you're
I
welcome.
think
to explain
Mr. Gross, I think it's you. Please mute yourself.
So going on through this, distraction scams, something 94th and 90th are keeping an eye out for. Something else was e-commerce. What 94th had noticed was that there's a lot of scams involving items that have been sold online through places like Facebook marketing. So effort that's being made across the city, not just by 94th, but by all precincts, is for a trade area to be set up in front of precinct buildings where people can go and make these deals in front during daytime. So encouraged by Deputy Inspector Fahey and others to do those businesses there. This is because a little while ago, there was an off-duty officer who was killed in front of the 75th precinct when they went to purchase a car. So because of that, stepping up efforts to make sure that we do everything we can. Grand larcenies, again, continuing. CVS on North 6 was hit twice in the past week. But the good news is that, like I mentioned earlier, these are trending downwards, especially with nighttime grand larcenies. As I had mentioned, 94th Precinct has made an effort to bring in more sheriffs and auxiliary officers, and they're also bringing in more field training officers who are based out of Barrie and Bedford. Last report from the 94th Precinct was a recent accident on Maz, Peth, and Vanderfort, where a car ran at red light, hit several cars, and an elderly male, approximately 7 years old, was hit. The bureau chief from the DA's office is coming in and coordinating with the Highway Collision Investigation Squad to look for higher charges, encouraged by the community for that. So that's 94th Precinct. 90th Precinct recently just got a new commanding officer. Acting Chief Warnersbach stepped down. They have a new CO who will be attending our next meeting. In addition to that, the 94th is now actively looking for a replacement CO to Deputy Inspector Fahey, who will also be coming in and updating us at our next public safety meeting. Next precinct that we have is PSA 3. Police Officer Arnell came to report. As far as PSA 3, there were 3 robberies, 2 of which were on delivery drivers. This is another trend that we had seen in the area, where with delivery drivers are called to housing buildings. Once the drivers go into the building, up from the lobby onto one of the floors with apartments, that's when the crime's committed. So in reaction to that, similar trend that's seen around the city, delivery drivers are asked to only drop off food in the lobby or hand off to somebody rather than go up to apartment floors. For both of those deliveries, they have people of interest and actively looking for them. There's 1 domestic crime. And similar to 94th Precinct, they're also setting up an e-commerce trade area in front of the precinct. So for our next meeting, PSA 3 will come back, the CEO of the 90th Precinct, and an update on the commanding officer of the 94th Precinct will come back. That's as well as FDNY and DSNY. So that's the updates from the precincts, but we had one item to vote on, and I'll jump into that now as it's slightly longer. We had a visit from Hip Haddock Helps, who is coordinating with MedHelps BHC.
I was going to play and then I missed.
Is that somebody speaking?
Yep, they're not muting themselves. Sorry, Mr. Daly.
We don't know who it is, Daly. Just continue.
Go ahead.
I'll jump into the next topic, and if they have a question, they can jump up. So there is a intensive mobile treatment center coming to our area. It's run by a company called Hypnotic Helps, who are coordinating with MedHelps BHC. Department of Health and Mental Hygiene signed off on the servicing. They did so based on outreach that ran from June to September of this year to determine what the needs of the community would be. This organization would provide supportive services that include child life academy skills, career training, group facilitation for substance abuse, mental illness, HIV, and other cognitive skills. Their office would be based on 960 Manhattan Ave, but they would have a number of centers around the area that would facilitate intake and target special needs. Their operation and intake would focus around transportation drivers who would go to target neighborhoods, including our own of Williamsburg, Greenpoint, and Bushwick. They would also have crews that would operate as mobile crews on the subway lines and be open from 9 to 5 and intake into their 960 Manhattan Ave. This is a program that before they opened in 2018, they shadowed organizations that we're all familiar with, Canva, Samaritan Village, and Grassroots Labor. They started as an organization in 2016, registered in 2017, and became a 501c in 2018. As far as capacity of the programs, their headquarters in 960 Manhattan Ave has 83 capacity, so capacity for 83 intake patients. On 668 Bushwick Ave, there's a capacity of 117. On 570 Nostrand Ave, there's capacity of 14, and their target for 2024 would be staffed for just under 400 at 394. So what I'm asking for is a vote on behalf of this program so that we can provide a letter of support giving our endorsement of this.
I have a question.
I make the motion. Oh,
Steve Chester.
Made the motion, Steve, and who?
No, I had a question, Madam Chair.
Sonia made the motion.
I'll second Sonia.
But Steve has a question.
Steve has a question.
Thank you. Can you just provide a little more detail on what this facility will actually do in terms of helping folks?
So the way they describe themselves is that they are unique in this area because they're specialized to a number of areas, whereas other facilities are general. So the areas that they say that they are targeting is, again, child academy life skills, career training, group facilitation for substance abuse, mental illness, HIV, and other cognitive skill sessions. Another big differentiating factor for them is that they have a larger intake program than most.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't read the report, but are there any concerns around safety, I guess, in the neighborhood in close proximity to the facility? So any issues with that?
None that we as a committee had seen, but what did impress all of us was their level of outreach. So again, they had shadowed a number of programs that we have endorsed over the years, such as Canva. But as far as their outreach, they also got referrals from Department of Health, and they would work with other intake facilities. So from the questions that we had asked along those lines, they seem to satisfy our needs.
All right, thank you.
Ellie?
Hi, Ronan. Thank you for the report. Just I want to add to what Steve was saying. Are they going to operate? Are they going to have a physical location at a certain address? What is the vision on that? Mostly to understand what potentially could have impact on the neighborhood. Are they operating with mobile station? Yeah, it's a little bit unclear. Before, I feel supporting something without really having fully understood, and maybe the community not really be fully informed beyond the fact that they came your committee. Could you explain a little bit better? If you know.
Absolutely. So I can run through that portion as well, or again for you. They have 3 facilities. The first one being on 960 Manhattan Ave. Total square footage is 15,500. This, for all of us that know the neighborhood pretty well, was formerly managed by Brookdale Hospital Center. So they took over that area and now managing. Aside from that, they have 2 other spaces. The first one being on 668 Bushwick Ave. this facility in particular, we're partnered with 2 other hotels, so that when there's overflow, that intake would go there. The last one is the smallest at 570 Nostrand, with a capacity of 14. All facilities have showers, kitchen, clothing. The idea is that once intake happens, all those in need would receive immediate care before being addressed for special needs like the career services or special needs that I mentioned. Del, I see your hand.
And also, Ronan, just to close on my question, where shouldn't they come maybe to the full board and present this? As I see, like Manhattan Avenue, it's in the middle or at the corner of India Street, to really have a full understanding before we approve it without even know if the surrounding neighbors, they have concern. I know they've been concerned in the past about other facility there with the shelter and things like that. So, just
Absolutely. So I think Sante, if that's the belief of this full board, then yes. Just to note, they spent maybe 40 minutes with us and asked and answered a number of questions. We did not have quorum at the meeting, but did vote unanimously in their favor. But again, if that's the belief of the committee, then I agree with you. Del?
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is going to actually be a treatment center, right? They're going to provide treatment for people with drug issues. What about for the children? I can't quite understand what it is they're doing with the kids, with the
So
children.
from what they told us, they look at minors as students, and so with students they strive to teach things like career services. They strive to teach life skills, is what they call it. They address mental health issues for children in their Child Academy Life Skills program. So they break out their patients based on age.
And what kind of so some of this is educational for the kids and some of it is mental health treatment?
Exactly. And something else that they had mentioned a lot was cultural awareness, where they try and look at a more holistic approach to all of this.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Del. And thank you, Sante.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? Okay, who made the motion to send a letter of support?
Sonia, second by
Julia.
Julia.
Sonia and Julia. Roll call vote, please.
Gina Argento,
Yes.
Baden Bakarowski, Lisa Bermonti,
Yes.
Gina Barrows, Eric Rosaides,
Okay.
Iris Cabrera, Phil Caponegro, Frank Cabone.
Yes.
Yes, Sonia, sorry, Iris.
Thank you. Steve Chesler,
Yes.
Michael Chinchilla, Teresa Sincada, Stephanie Cuevas, Ron Daly,
Yes.
Giovanni D'Amato,
Yes.
Aaron Drinkwater, Arthur Dibanowski, Lloyd Fang, Julia Amanda Foster,
Yes.
Crystal Garcia, Joe Goldstein,
Yes.
Joe Gross, David Helmick,
Yes.
Sabrina Help, Katie Denny Horowitz,
Yes.
Sonia Iglesias, yes. Moses Ending, Robert Jeffrey,
Yes.
Bozina Kaminsky,
Yes.
Corey Canton, Paul Kilterborn, William Glasgow,
Yes.
Yolando, Marie Lieza,
Yes.
Yolo, Trina McKeever,
Yes.
Adam Myers,
Yes.
Sante Michelli,
Yes.
Toby Moskowitz, Rabbi David Niederman, Karen Nieves, Mario Domerick,
Yes.
Janice Peterson, Bella Sables.
Yes.
Isaac Soper. Del T.
Yes.
William Vega.
Yes, yes.
Maria Riera. Simon Weiser.
Yes. You hear me?
Yes, I heard you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Twenty-eight yeses, 0 no, 0 abstentions, 0 recusal. Motion carries.
Thank you all. That's the report.
Thank you, Sonia. Landmarks, Bozina.
Yes, Madam Chair. Landmark Committee heard we only had one item on the agenda.
We can hardly hear you,
That
Bozina. It
was
seems like you're
118
going in
North.
and out.
We had only one item on the agenda, 118 North 11th Street. This is Hecla Iron building in the individual landmark that was designated in 2004 with existing facade and existing or removed presently. On the picture that was approved as a landmark, we noticed the garage door, which was placed in the side of the building in where there were staple doors. The proposed work for this project was to restore and implement a facade of the window restoration by recreation of the missing windows and creating the new infill and new signage on the ground floor, plus installation of the additional door on the left side of the building. Upstairs of the building was nicely restored. The windows were in operation. The presenters, they presented the presentation also today for the entire board to review it and to see what they are seeking for. The one thing that was more concerned for the committee was the color vinyl insert. Those will be removable. Nevertheless, some of the members of the committee felt that they will take away from this historic landmark building. After presentation, there were questions and answers. Steve Chesler commented on that project, that he was pleased that this project has been worked on. The building is very beautiful and it makes such a significance for our community. His main concern was to
Sound like we lost you, Bozina.
Lost you, Bozina.
I'm down, Sonia.
I'm trying to keep this notes. I'm trying.
I know that this is Dell. I know that Bozina is out of state. She flew, I think, to Florida. I don't know if she's on her cell phone or what the story is, but
you want to finish our report?
I think I could. I'll remind you that that they presented tonight. They didn't. We did it in a reverse order because you can with landmarks, and because they had a timing issue, not because of that they were on a clock, but it was an issue, a contract issue. They really needed to have an answer from landmarks, in order to keep this contract that they have with the renter. So I will remind you that they did heed what Steve Chesler's concerns were for the door on the right that had been a stable door, and so they showed tonight how they changed the parameters of it, so it still passes code, but it looks more like the original stable door. They also changed the pattern of the inserts, the little stick-on things in the windows, so that they will not be so visible. Essentially, they have to have something. They have to make those window panes opaque, at least while this particular tenant is there, because there's going to be like an extra wall in front of it. But so they modified that to meet our concerns. And then you heard them respond to Sante's questions about why they had to have a door on the left, why they couldn't have something else, like maybe glass or a window, and that was also discussed at the committee. So the resolution was to approve the project with the committee's concerns over the decal coloring, but I think those concerns actually have been answered. And the vote to approve the application was 11 yes and 1 no. So we would need a vote.
Make a motion.
Steve, you have a question?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Steve Chesler?
Thank you.
Steve, yeah.
This afternoon, Sante forwarded a comment from the Historic Districts Council Executive Director, who remarked about this door that they're inserting on in this bay that's the second bay from the left that was brought up tonight. And I'm just wondering, you understand what the issues are with continuing to have a wall there, but I'm just wondering, based on the Historic Districts Council, which is, it's been, supporter of, landmark for decades, and they applied input at the LPC, at every hearing. I feel like that carries a lot of weight, and just based on, what Sante has spoke, passionately about it, if that could potentially be added to the motion as a concern, that in addition to the colored panes, to further consider the design of that second bay from the left, beyond a brick wall. I don't know if Sante wanted to add to that, but if Dell, you would consider that in the motion. This is continuing with the overall approval, but added as a, just another request to further look at that, to further take a deeper dive in the design of that.
I guess if we add it just as a request to look at it, it's not a condition or anything, because the committee was not really concerned about that. But I would think it's a friendly amendment if we just say that it's approved, but with committee concerns over the decal coloring, which I think have been resolved now, and over whether there could be whether they could look at additional possibilities for the door to the left.
Can I add more, Madam Chair, please?
Kelly?
Yes, thank you. So as hopefully audible member, I know that my email was forwarded. Actually, I forwarded the email from Frampton Tolbert, which is the executive director from Historic District Council. I had conversation with them for years when Simon Bancroft was the director at that time. And of course, the ECLA building is very important to note. It's actually on their website. So they're planning definitely to speak as they do regularly. The Historic District Council is the advocate in New York City for our New York City landmark since 1970. And presumptuous, I should say, is an authority. And as a matter of fact, the Historic District Council, thanks to me and to Steve, there was a board member at the time and I wasn't, the contact of the Historic District Council was passed to Trina, from me to Steve and from Steve to Trina. And I believe Trina has been using them. But this time, nobody took the liberty of consulting the Historic District Council, which I did myself, and I spoke with Frampton. And then, if you didn't read it, it's 4 lines. Frampton replied to me on Monday, Madam Chair, you saw that because you were on the email. It was addressed to you and to the full board. And he says that to confirm from our consideration, HDC will support a position of advocating that the applicant further consider the second bay from the left on the ECLA building, which seems unresolved compared to the extensive renovation and restoration happening on the rest of the building. Restoring the bay to better match the others would provide a unified design. I want to read exactly, is a very simple formula, and that's very interesting because the committee, I mentioned that before I spoke because I have understanding and I can read the drawings, and I don't claim to be an authority there, but hopefully I love always to provide impartial expertise for the committee. I wasn't really heard when I pointed that. I believe that the committee focused on this decal, which is something can be peeled away that is happening on the indoor. I believe one of the most critical there is part of the historic base configuration of this building. It was the second bay. Strangely enough, likely enough, the Historic District Council spotted that right away. So I believe this is something that should, at the end of the story, LPC is going to make their consideration. The Historic District Council is going to speak about that. To me, as a board member of somebody who advocates for landmark, I wish the board could be aligned with that. First of all, because of this historic-based configuration, we had allowed them first to modify the 5th bay where there was the west entrance stable door. We allowed to be modified, but I assume personally that they did some work around there to try to harmonize. We allowed in there to put a new door on the first bay, and the justification of the fireproofing, I believe, is out of our scope as a landmark. I'm assuming they are putting new meters there, and again, it's not our scope. I could think it would have gone not using fossil fuel, and they didn't need to put new meters. There were no meters there.
Dante, please, this is not even relevant to.
Oh, it's very relevant because it's fundamental to articulate this argument. I believe cutting.
All right, if Madam Chair wishes to let you go on, then
cutting story short, I believe is very, very important. We allow them to modify the stable door, and likely that we allow him to put it there. It's kind of, as the Historic District Council said, it feels weird. We are throwing a door there, and that door will jeopardize the possibility of having a more compatible conservation of that bay. And the bay is the most important feature of the building.
But Santa,
are you trying to make an amendment to the report?
I'm trying to make an amendment as Steve has proposed, where Madam Chair.
I think Bozina is trying to speak.
No, but I don't think it's fair to make an amendment to the report. If you want to add something to the motion with not to deny this project, but to
I approve the project. I support the project.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We should use some sort of wording that That's why I put in my report that your concern regarding this historic aspect project.
Are you trying to add a condition to the report?
Yes, Madam Chair.
No, no, I don't think, I mean, I think the committee needs to have the condition because we voted to approve. not
Madam
our
Chair,
concern,
can I
and
conclude?
that was voted on.
Madam Chair, can I conclude respectfully, please? I want to state.
You make it brief. If you make it brief.
I make it brief. I state that I'm actually in support of this application. So I'm not here to challenge the denial of this application. All the things have been stated, the decal, whatever has been bought, the garage, the stable door, to me is approved. So I would say that while CB1 praise the applicant for the restoration, we could add it on top of that, and reconstruction of the steel window, all the other things, and support the application. We support the application. Ask that the applicant further consider the ground floor second bay from the left, which seems unresolved compared to the extensive renovation and restoration happening on the rest of the building. Restoring the bay to better match the other would provide a unified design. We're not telling them what they should do exactly, but we let LPC know that is something they could work around there instead of throwing a door there where the block wall is. We're not designing, we're not asking something precisely. We're saying they should do further work together with LPC.
I would like to add something. Sante, you're telling the community board, that it's your belief that the committee did not really focus on your concern, and all we were really concerned about were those removable decals. And yet, Bozina's report, I think, belies that, because a good deal of her report talks about your concern. I'm not saying we can't ask LTC to at least take another look at what they've done with that door, but I want the community board to know that the committee actually spent a lot of time on your concern. We asked them, and you asked them, why they couldn't have some glass there. You asked them again tonight, and they responded to you, and they responded to the community board and to the committee that they had looked at a number of alternatives, and they're just, because of the requirements for fireproofing and because because of all the things that are behind that door, that they were not able to do what you wanted. And they did say that the way they've structured it now, a part of that is actually can be removed in the future if materials become available that would comply with code. Now, my main concern here is that we do not, misrepresent what happened just because we have a particular agenda of our own. The committee paid very strict attention to your concerns. We spent a lot of time on those concerns, and I think it's really disingenuous of you to imply. It's not even just imply. To come out and say, "Oh, the community, they were just concerned about those stick-on things, but they didn't really focus on what my concern." No, the committee focused a lot of time on your
No,
concern.
this is actually,
And
this is
and
insulting.
it is a big part of Bozina's report, and it was discussed again with them tonight when they presented. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, Steve, you got something you want to say? Let's see what Steve got to say. We got to move on. There's too much back and forth. It sounds like you'll talk about this in your committee. You saw the presentation, and people still don't understand what people are trying to say about this project. Go ahead, Steve.
Just a couple, make it very quick. I think if we just, we're not touching the recommendation, the overall approval. It's just adding either another condition or just, a deep concern over how they're designing that second bay from the left, with the door, that they further explore the design of that's more contextual. And then I'd also say, if this building would convert, would move away from fossil fuels, then they wouldn't have a need for meters and other infrastructure on the other side of that wall, and that would free them up potentially to do something, have a better design. So that's just.
That's not what
that's
not what the committee voted on.
No, I'm not just saying that. I know that,
The committee
I know
did
the
not have
applicant
a
is still
deal.
on the.
They're not talking about what the committee voted on. Appears to me that they're talking about what they would like to add to this report so that, our presenters can and work on the issues that they're talking about.
Yes, they are,
I
but
just
that
know-
is
Simon.
that was not.
No, I'm just
Can I
saying
say
the
something,
architectural
Simon?
Did not
firm
have a
is still
deep
on the.
concern about that door.
Where's
Can I
Simon?
say something, Simon? Okay, I just want to piggyback what Dell was saying. We did look at this issue and we approved it the way how it was voted on, and it was, and now to bring it up again at the full board is as Dell said, it's disingenuous. It's not fair. That was voted, and it's quite clear that they cannot go along with what Michelli is saying, because it's not costly and it doesn't work out. So I would like to make a vote now on to vote and approve what the committee voted on, the way it was worded, and not to add no wording to the motion.
Well,
I'll
other
second.
reports have been done with modifications and concerns.
Right, and we received testimony after the fact. We received the testimony from the executive director of the HDC. So I feel like that carries some weight. And just to add a deep concern, not just to further explore the design. And we're aware of all the requirements around safety and what's on the other side of the wall.
We have a vote
I
on the
made that comment.
table. We have a vote on the floor, and
We have
let's
discussion
vote
on
on
the
it.
floor too. Simon, stop cutting people
Okay.
off.
So,
Yeah,
I'm
and
so-
just
I'm
a
sorry.
comment
you're right.
about,
It sounds like, from what I'm hearing and what I read, it seems like you need a deeper dive into this.
I just
Go ahead,
think
finish,
that
Steve.
my main point was not to misrepresent what the committee did. I think that's just not right to do. And I want the full board to understand that the committee didn't just focus on some decals that were going to be removed. That's just not true. Now, and I don't
Indeed.
know that it's appropriate to say that we have a deep concern, maybe a concern. I'm not
We
against
said
looking at
we
this.
said a deep dive.
I
I
can
think
I
we just go
take a
ahead and vote this up and
deeper-
down because this is an argument that don't seem like it's gonna
Can I,
get settled.
can I say something? I'm still the chairman for that code for that subcommittee. If everybody is okay, including the committee members, I think we should approve this project with our
Modification.
concern regarding the decal coloring, which we can just leave it or remove it, or we can just include that the committee will, or the board will prefer to have restoration of this building to the right, I mean, to the condition that it was, before, but unfortunately to the constraint, we dealing with this situation and we approving this project. I don't know if this is the right way, but there's maybe somebody else can have a better motion.
Madam Chair, something important to say. First, I want to respond to Dale. I'm not here I don't have a personal agenda. I have a landmark agenda. And as a matter of fact, I sent you the statement of a historic district council, which I said is an authority in our New York City. Just to tell you that it wasn't my agenda. It is the agenda that it needs to be in place in order to restore and safeguard, especially individual landmark of this type. So I will support. Let me finish, Dale. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Dale, let him finish. Dale,
You
Dale,
interrupted me.
let him finish.
No,
I'm
because
not-
because he's lying about what went on at the committee. That's my only point.
We
I
don't know
care
whether he's
he has
lying or
an
not
agenda.
because we don't hear what he's saying.
I know what he's saying. I don't care if he had an agenda. He lied about what went on at the committee, and I want the full board to understand that the
Yes,
committee did look at this.
I
That's all.
I believe, don't make me enter in what is the local politics, because I'm not obeying to any politics or to any personal request. I'm just looking strictly at landmark. What I'm trying to say, that the committee didn't listen in my tip. It wasn't my person. It was an analysis. It was an historical preservation analysis that I was trying to make. Hopefully, and as a matter of fact, I didn't challenge you in the committee match. We were talking. There wasn't an argument. But at the end, the committee, it seems to focus a lot into the decal. And he went with the only resolution was to work on this decal. There was no mention about that. Honestly, it wasn't enough for me, but it wasn't enough even for the Historic District Council. And I believe you don't need to take my word. Their email, 2 lines of their email already tells you what it should be. The note that should be added to the resolution. Yes, approve it with that note. It would be in line with what the Historic District Council is going to say at the landmarks public hearing. It's not even my word. We already have a tip. They are professional, very friendly word, which they don't kill the project, but they're saying to look further. We should copy. The wording is in the email from Frampton Tolbert, the executive director. That wasn't his own idea, because I forward the drawings, Dale, and Trina, every application, he came back to us, the committee, for the record, and says, oh, the Historic District Council said that. This time, for this big individual landmark, we didn't consult it. I consult the Historic District Council, and we have now that. So it's a new finding, and it's an important statement that we have. So it's not to challenge, it's not to lie. I'm not lying.
You are lying.
Okay.
You're lying.
Santo,
You're
Santo,
saying that we didn't
Michelle.
pay attention to you.
Michelle.
Yes, we did.
Excuse me, I have my hands up. I just cannot wrap my head around this ridiculousness. I
Michelli,
cannot wrap my
what you're
head.
saying is, Sonia.
I'm
calm
sorry,
down.
I have my hands up too, Madam Chair. This is getting too ridiculous.
I didn't see your hand.
Well, it's up. Well, I'm just saying that
We
every
all
time,
need to calm
every time there's
down,
a
so-
committee meeting, you guys have to clear out your messes, whatever you decide on
Sonia,
things, you vote,
Sonia,
and then you have
Sonia, calm down.
It's just getting
this
too
meeting is getting out of control.
I'm not going to sit back and allow somebody to misrepresent what happened at the meeting.
It's getting out of control. Let's hear what somebody else has to say.
Listen, last month.
Brizadas?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just to cut through all this. So can we make a motion, or I would like to make a motion to approve the recommendation of the Landmarks Committee and since we have to draft this letter after the fact, we can just add a paragraph. Steve or Bozina or Dell can craft it just saying, we approved the project, but we have this concern. If you could accept this going forward and try to resolve it, please do. Since the Landmarks Preservation Committee is going to do what it does, it's just the sense of the it's just a concern. So, and you know,
I think that's the point they was trying to get to, but nobody's
right.
hearing.
So can we just approve?
No.
Can we just approve the Landmarks Committee report?
I made already a motion to approve as is. I'm sorry.
Gina
I made
Bowers,
already
you
a
have the
motion.
floor. Gina
Okay,
Bowers.
okay, that's my suggestion. Thank you.
I have,
Thank you, Eric.
they presented today, and in this presentation, they did highlight some modifications that I think if I just want to clarify the modifications, it said the door showed that they made some change in the patterns of the door and the inserts of the window. And I don't know if we can just add that to the report, because there was some modifications were made in the presentation they did today, if that's what I understand. So if we can add that to the report.
So we don't want to recognize the Historic District Council at all. The authority in New York City Landmark is telling us something, and we don't want to recognize that. So we want to be connivant.
Excuse me. This is not cool. This is not cute. They didn't let me speak my mind, Madam Chair, and you allow Sante. This is not cool. I'm putting it on the record.
Oh, anyway, I want to clarify what was presented today, because I believe today there was some modifications that they talked about that could go into the report.
Well, I don't have in front of me the specifics, what the landmark department wrote. Can somebody read that to the entire board?
I read it before. Do you want me to read it again?
Yes, read it again.
Okay.
What is the concern?
Well, actually, so sorry to miss your call. I'm gonna jump that. I'm gonna go straight. It's an
Okay.
email. It was a
Was it the landmark board? Was it the
This-
landmark board?
this is
Simon, please, let's just hold on.
This is from Frampton Tolbert, executive director of the Historic District Council. He said, to confirm from our conversation, HDC will support a position of advocating that the applicant further consider the second bay from the left on the A-Club building, which seems unresolved compared to the extensive renovation and restoration happening on the rest of the building. Restoring the bay to better match the others would provide a unified design. How they're gonna have to do that? It's between them and LPC. That's what, thanks Frampton. And I asked permission if I could forward that email to make sure, and he said, please forward to the chair, and I forward to the chair, and I forward to the full board. If there was more time, we could have asked an official letter to be sent to the board, but I forward the email.
I think the recommendation should hold some strength. So maybe we should just add the recommendation in there. Okay, Simon, you had something you wanted to say?
I wanted to say that there's a vote on the floor to accept the recommendation of the chair of the committee, and with no modifications. That's what was voted on. The whole board can go up or down, but there's a motion on the floor. Okay, and as I was saying, what Dell was saying, we did discuss it by committee, and we did not put it into the motion. It's true that we did it. That's what it was.
Point of
Okay,
order.
we
there
know
was-
there's a
there was
motion
no
on the
second on
floor.
the
We're
motion.
trying to get some modifications in. Bozina, Michele read the statement to you. What do you think?
Yes, I mean, we can approve this project with the comment from the landmark commission, period. And I don't
Period,
think
that's
we should speculate. We should approve this project and have that comment included in our motion. That's it.
Exactly.
Ms.
Okay.
Bozina, can you please reread the motion?
Oh my
Just
goodness,
Point of clarification, it's not LPC, it's the HDC who wrote the comment, yep.
Okay, so just include that comment. Anybody has, I mean, I'm not in New York, and I'm on the phone, can even get a good connection. If anybody has the proper wording, but the motion should say that the motion is to approve the proposed project and
The comment from HDC.
with the comment from
HDC.
yes, HDC landmark.
I second it. I second that.
I think it's
We
too
can say
vague.
we're
I think it's
echoing
too
the
vague.
comment from it.
It's perfectly
Okay,
clear.
I
Simon.
think it's too vague. Too vague.
Simon,
but
perfectly clear.
Simon,
It's very
Simon,
specific.
yeah, but Simon, I think it's only fair, and I don't think we're doing anything against the committee.
No, because
Committee
the
voted.
applicant explained today very well why it's not possible and not feasible
Well, then that's
to
fine.
do that.
That's fine.
Right, so fine. So they explained very well, and by committee we discussed it, and it's unfair for the whole board to sit through this and ignore how we as a committee, 10 members voted the way it was, not to add at the full board. And it's wrong for Michele and anybody else to bring it up now when it was discussed at the committee. Okay, like Del said, I'm sorry.
Okay, the thing
It's not
about
fair
it
to
is, Simon, The whole
Si-
board was not at that meeting,
Yeah,
and this
but
was just brought to the whole board's attention
yeah, but
today.
Simon, this is not going to change our approval. We are approving this project. So whatever there's going to be an issue with the door, whatever they may have, they will have to explain that this is for the safety. This is for the reason that they
No,
explained
I,
it
I,
to
I
us,
I
and
would
it
put in
was
the
okay.
wording that I put in the wording that the board had a concern about the design of the second bay. That's it. Because LPC is very vague. It gives full powers and everything. It like it could hold up the whole
That's
project.
not a vague
It's very,
statement, Simon.
no, but it's very open. It's not. It's open ended.
Okay, so
It has to be clear.
Point
Thank you. The
of
wording
Okay,
should
order,
be.
motion and second
We
on the
brought up
floor.
the concern.
Discussion
Madam
is
Chair,
over.
I
Point
It's
of order,
late.
motion and
It's
second
late.
on the floor.
Everybody's
Madam
tired.
Chair, I
Everybody,
think I made a
this is
motion.
it.
I think they'll second it, and I think we should vote.
Who made the motion?
I made a motion.
And I seconded it. Seconded.
Roll call vote, please, and vote it up or down. No more discussion.
Clarity, comment from, what was the agency again, please?
Historic
Historic
District Council.
Council.
From the
Yes.
historic
District
district
Council.
council. So Ms. Bonzina
Yeah,
and Ms.
make,
Dell
yes.
seconded. Okay. Gina Argento. Gina? Biden
Yes,
Bacarati.
yes, Sonia, yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Lisa Vermonti.
Yes.
Gina Barrows.
Yes.
Eric Brusides.
Yes.
Iris Cabrera.
Yes.
Phil Caponegro.
Yes.
Frank Cavone.
Yes.
Steve Chesler.
Yes.
Michael Chinchilla. Teresa Sincaro. Stephanie Cuevas. Manan Daly. Giovanni D'Amato.
No.
Aaron Drinkwater. Arthur Dibinowski. Lloyd Fang. Lloyd. Julia Amanda Foster.
Yes.
Crystal Garcia. Joe Goldstein. Joe Gross. David Helmick.
Yes.
Sabrina Help. Katie Denny Horowitz.
Abstain.
Abstain. Sonny Iglesias, yes. Moses Ending. Robert Jeffrey.
Abstain.
Monsina Kaminsky.
Yes.
Katie Corey Canton. Paul Kilterborn.
Yes.
William Cosbo.
Yes.
Yolando. Marie Lieza.
Yes.
Yolo. Trina McKeever.
Yes.
Adam Myers.
Yes.
Santi Michelli.
Yes.
Toby Moskowitz. Rabbi David Needleman. Karen Nieves. Mary Domerick.
Yes.
Janice Peterson. Bella Sable. Isaac Sofer. Del T.
Yes.
William Vega. Maria Viera. Simon Weiser.
Yes.
William Vega here. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm voted yes, but I am upset. I still on the committee. My hand was raised all this time. I was never.
Yes. Okay.
I didn't see your hand. I didn't see your hand. The vote is yes.
What did
or
you
no.
say, Mr. William? Yes?
Yes.
$22 yes, 1 no, 2 abstentions.
Motion carried. That concludes your report, Bozina?
Yes, Madam Chair. Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Have a safe trip. Transportation?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, the hour is late, so we will be quick. There are changes coming. I'll just say there are changes. We talked about Berry Street, but we saw the final proposal from DOT. They will be changing the direction of traffic in certain blocks. I recommend the board to look at the plan that was attached to the report, just to familiarize yourself with the changes that are going to happen. Just quickly, Meeker Avenue is moving ahead slower than expected, and DOT gave a less than satisfactory report on the progress, but they did follow up with a PowerPoint to show what's happening. So that's moving along. We have 3 motions that need a letter. I'll just, maybe we can do them all together in one vote. If that's fine, I'll read the motions individually, Madam Chair, if you're fine with that.
That's fine
Just for-
before we lose our quorum.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so 3 motions. The first one was brought by Councilman Ressler's office, was to support the co-naming of Penn Street between Bedford Avenue and Wythe Avenues in honor of Rabbi Joseph Weber, which was approved unanimously without objection or abstentions. Longtime board members who served with Rabbi Weber. He was the first vice chair, and he did a lot for the community in addition to his role on the community board, so that the committee supported that. Sadly, we had 2 fatalities last month, so we have our standard letter. I lumped it into one motion, and that was the motion Community Board 1 to draft a letter to NYPD Highway Patrol 90th Precinct, DA's office, to inquire as to the status of the investigation into the deaths of Mr. Sikaju and Mr. Schroeder. Those letters need to go out. And then because Mr. Sikaju's fatality involved a Two Trees construction vehicle parked in the bike lane overnight illegally. Those of you that travel Kent around Domino Park or the Domino factory may have seen, as I have seen many times, there's often construction equipment staged in the bike lane, or vehicles parked in the bike lane that are adjacent to those projects. We can't say for sure that those are all Two Trees construction partner vehicles, but we just want to, Two Trees has been a good neighbor on some things and problematic on others, but the committee asked that we send a letter to Two Trees management, just asking, well, I'll read the motion. Community Board 1 to draft a letter to Two Trees management to explain their tolerance of contractors to illegally block legally designated bike lanes with construction equipment or other vehicles. We know that Two Trees has limited, direct, control to deal specifically with drivers and construction managers, but they should. It's a little unclear as to the status of the fatality, whether a motorized vehicle is legally allowed to be in the bike lane, which it's not. But the problem is that since that was there, it would have forced any cyclist to ride out into the heavy traffic of Kent Avenue and create a dangerous situation. So those were the 3 motions. I can read them again if you need to, or we could just ask for a up and down vote on the 3 motions, or if there's any discussion.
So, Mr. Eric, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I had previously voted on individual sheets, but the 3 motions are to support the co-naming of Penn Street between Bedford and Wythe Avenue in honor of Rabbi Joseph Weber, right?
Joseph Weber, yes.
Yeah, Weber, I'm sorry. Then the second motion is CB to draft a letter to New York NYPD Highway Patrol 90th Precinct and Brooklyn DA's office to inquire as to the status of the investigation of death of Mr. Sakara and Mr. Schroeder, right?
Correct.
And the last one was to draft a letter to Two Trees managers to explain their tolerance of their contractors to illegally block legally designated bike lanes with construction equipment or other vehicles, right?
That's correct, Sonia. Thank you.
Okay, so now it's time for a motion, right?
Make a motion, Steve Chesler.
Steve Chesler,
Chesler, is there a second?
Sonia.
second.
Okay, who's second?
Ronan Daly.
Okay, Ron Daly.
Roll call vote, please.
Gina Argento,
Yes.
Martin Bakowski, Lisa Bermonti,
Yes.
Gina Barrows,
Yes.
Eric Brusitis,
Yes.
Iris Cabrera,
Yes.
Phil Caponegro,
Yes.
Frank Cabone,
Yes.
Steve Chesler,
Yes.
Michael Trinchella, Teresa Sinscada, Stephanie Cuevas, Ron Daly,
Yes.
Giovanni D'Amato,
Yes.
Aaron Drinkwater, Arthur Dibonowski, Lloyd Fang, Julia Amanda Foster,
Yes.
Crystal Garcia, Joe Goldstein, Joe Gross, David Helmick,
Yes.
Sabrina Help, Katie Denny Horowitz,
Abstain.
Abstain. Sonia Iglesias, yes. Moses Ending, Robert Jeffrey,
Yes.
Monsina Kaminsky,
Yes.
Corey Canton, Paul Kilterborn, William Claswell, Joe Lando, Marie Liaison,
Yes.
Joe Lowe, Trina McKeever,
Yes.
Adam Myers,
Yes.
Sante Michelli,
Yes.
Toby Markowitz, Rabbi David Needleman, Karen Nieves, Mary Domerick,
Yes.
Johnny Peterson, Bella Sable,
Yes.
Isaac Sofer, Del T,
Yes.
William Vega,
Yes.
Whitney Maria Vieras, Simon Weiser.
Yes.
Twenty-four yes, zero no, one abstention, Sylvie Kuzu. Did you hear me? 24 yes, 0 no, 1 abstention, and Sylvie Kuzu. Motion carries.
Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you.
That
So just
concludes
one
our
last thing.
report.
Just one quick thing, Madam Chair. So Steve brought up conflicts with the bus stop at 220 Greenpoint Avenue, the remediation site. You know, a lot of people have an issue with that intersection of McGinnis and Greenpoint Avenue because of that construction. I'm working with MTA to see if we need to relocate that bus stop to make that corner a little less hazardous, and we're going to continue to monitor the progress of that project. And I thank Steve for bringing it to my attention. Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome. That concludes our committee reports, and I must iterate again, we've got to get our reports in on time. People do not have time to read them. They come here, nobody knows what anybody's talking about. We got people that will have meetings next week or even tomorrow and can't get their reports in by 5/16. We got to do better. We've got to do better with our reports. We don't have the staff. Joanna cannot be answering the phone, filling all these questions the day of the board meeting, trying to get letters out. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. I asked people before to try to get your reports in 2 to 3 days after your after your meeting. We're just overwhelming the board, and we know we don't have the staff. Every committee is busy. So if we have our committee meetings, we've got to get our committee reports in a timely manner because it's too much work to be doing 1 and 2 days before the board meeting. Thank you. Parks minute as written. Announcements, electeds. Daniel Bruno, BP office. Are you still here?
I'm 100%. I'm 100% still here, Chair Fuller. Yeah, so thank you all for the time. I'll make this very quick and brief. First, closing the loop on last month's discussion on the proposed guideline and the statement. I communicated up all the comments and questions the board shared, and they were all duly noted. I was asked to emphasize again that any further comments, questions should be forwarded to this email, cbguidance@brooklynbp.nyc.gov. I will share it with the new district manager now that I'm aware that the position is staffed. Once again, the hearing is not yet scheduled, but we will send notification once it is. Please mark your calendars for May 4th, when we'll be swearing in the new cohort of appointees here at Brooklyn Borough Hall. The notifications on appointees are duly incoming and within this month. Skipping ahead to the major announcements. On March 31st, Borough.
Bruno.
Yes.
Bruno, when we gonna get the new list?
Soon.
What is soon? You got a date for the swearing in and we don't have the members yet?
Well, we have the date, but it's gonna be within the month. But yeah, I will communicate that forward, but it's incoming.
Thank you.
You're welcome. March 31st, Borough President Reynoso announced the appointment of Reverend Kim Council as the new Deputy Borough President. In her new role, Reverend Council will serve as an external surrogate for the Borough President, while also leading faith-based work and other special projects for the administration. The appointment is effective as of yesterday. Lastly, if any constituents or if anyone gets any constituent-related support are needed, please send them to our constituent affairs team. I'll share also those details with the district manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruno. I'm sorry you had to stay so long. Isabel, from Senator Chief of Staff from Senator Salazar's office, are you still here? Isabel? Guess not. That concludes all of our speakers. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? There's no new business, no old business. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Hello. I second it.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Sorry, this was a long agenda, and I'm glad we all endured and we didn't lose our quorum. Thank you, everybody. Be safe, be healthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Have a good night, everyone.
Likewise.
Good night. Hope to
Good
see you in
night.
the next go round.